At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute. Stations, this is your final time check. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 30 seconds.
This is Westwood One Sports Night. Here's Josh Graham.
With you until 3 a.m. Eastern Time, it is Westwood One Sports Night. The 90th Masters is underway in Augusta. Rory McIlroy, last year's winner, tied for the lead currently at 5 under par. But we can wait. We can put a pin in that. Talk about that shortly. Since the NFL draft begins 2 weeks from tonight, let's actually start with the Shield. Frankly, it's bizarre just how overlooked the Kansas City Chiefs have been this offseason. And this isn't some straw man that we're creating here. It's real. It's happening. The disrespect, it's a thing. They aren't even the favorites to win the AFC West. And maybe it's because of the Trent McDuffie trade that we saw right around the start of free agency. But there seems to be this working theory that Kansas City is punting on the season, which is flatly absurd on several different levels. Here's where we stand. You should absolutely, positively not sleep on the Kansas City Chiefs. It almost sounds crazy to be saying it. You let us know how hot of a take this really is. The Kansas City Chiefs are returning to the playoffs. The Kansas City Chiefs are going to return to being contenders again for no other reason than they have Patrick Mahomes still. And it's not just that he's returning from his knee injury. He is going to be back, by the way. Maybe in time for the opener, but if not, it's an 18-game regular season. You don't really need to be at full strength right out of the gate, and you can rely on Kansas City to be okay once 15's in the lineup. Let's not forget, this is the part where the idea of punting on a season, oh, they're not really trying to contend. They're pushing for the future. They're trying to rebuild. Do they still have Andy Reid as their coach? Do they still have Steve Spagnuolo calling plays on defense? Do they still have Travis Kelce, who re-upped for one more year? Do you think Travis Kelce believes that this is a throwaway season? Or Chris Jones? Or they have a ton of these guys who have been around. Nick Bolton on defense. They've also been aggressive this offseason. Oh, you can point to the Trent McDuffie trade, but they added a Super Bowl MVP running back and Kenneth Walker in the backfield. They reunited Patrick Mahomes with Eric Bieniemy. Again, and if the knee is your concern, they did upgrade the backup quarterback spot. They have Justin Fields in there if he needs to start a few games this season. Kansas City is absolutely returning to the playoffs this year. They shouldn't be overlooked, and they are in position to add another superstar 2 weeks from tonight. Yes, the NFL draft is 2 weeks from tonight, and Kansas City has the number 9 pick in that draft. It's the first time that they are picking in the top 10 since they moved to number 10 to take Patrick Mahomes, moved up in 2017. This is the first time that they've picked 9th or higher since having the number 1 overall pick, which they used on tackle Eric Fisher in 2013. Nearly 15 years ago, more than a dozen years ago. They are likely going to draft a star at a premium position at the 9 spot. This is a draft that is deep. Mekhi Lemon, the receiver from USC, already has been on a top 30 visit in Kansas City, as has Ohio State receiver Carnell Tate. Jordan Tyson is having his individual workouts for teams next week in about 1 week's time. The Arizona State receiver expected to be a top 10 pick. If they go edge rusher, how scary is the idea of having Chris Jones, George Karlaftis, and either David Bailey from Texas Tech or Ruben Bain as part of that edge rush? Steve Spagnuolo, we can hear him somehow salivating at that idea all the way across the country where I sit in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. They could select a stud tackle that's going to protect Patrick Mahomes for the remainder of his career. In 2 weeks, they are going to draft a star at that number 9 spot. The Chiefs, they are being overlooked. And frankly, it would be more understandable how they're being overlooked if the AFC wasn't as wide open as it seems to be right now. Like, let's look at the teams that currently have better odds to win the AFC than Kansas City does right now. The Buffalo Bills. You know, the team breaking in a new head coach in Joe Brady. Are we convinced that they're going to be better with Joe Brady than they were with Sean McDermott? Because I'm not convinced of that. The DJ Moore trade, that seemed like a desperate move for a team that hasn't been able to get wide receiver 1 right since Stephon Diggs left town. Like the Chiefs, the Baltimore Ravens, who have better odds than the Chiefs do, they missed the playoffs last season. Plus, they're also breaking in a first-time NFL coach in Jesse Minter. Maybe there's some drama there behind the scenes with Lamar Jackson trying to get him to participate in off-season workouts and all of that. Brouhaha. The LA Chargers are the favorites to win the AFC West. They have better odds to make it to the Super Bowl than Kansas City does. You know, the team with a quarterback entering his 6th season that still hasn't won a playoff game yet. Some might consider dating Madison Beer to be the equivalent to a playoff win, but Justin Herbert has not actually won a playoff game yet, and we're going to have him favored with better odds to win the AFC than the Kansas City Chiefs. But you tell us how hot of a take this is. This might just be projection. This is what perception seems like with all the conversation surrounding the NFL. Maybe this is just Chiefs fatigue where a lot of people were happy that Kansas City isn't being talked about. But it does come up as disrespect. You can chime in at 310-840-4910. We're asking the question, how much respect do the Chiefs deserve going into next season? How should they be viewed? 310-840-4910. We've got Oliver taking your calls there. Will Dalton is the producer of this program. Tonight, you can chime in on our video chat where you can see Will Dalton's beautiful face, and you can also chime in, as Daily Row is saying, the Chiefs are tanking before the season even starts. That's not a real take. Well, the Chiefs moved off of McDuffie. We've seen some of the takes. There's been some out there. We're not building a straw man here. Promise you. Promise you. And the odds, they suggest this, that Kansas City there are 5 teams in front of them with better odds to win the Super Bowl. Will Dalton, is this a real thing? Is Kansas City being slighted in your mind?
I think they're being slept on for sure, because it has been very quiet about the Kansas City Chiefs, and I tend to be in the same mindset you are, that I'm a little surprised by it, mainly because before the Kenneth Walker trade, I was surprised, because with that 9 pick, we thought, they might go Jeremiah Love, and then you add Kenneth Walker, we don't need him, so now you can get somebody else really good with that pick. So I'm a little surprised. I think the Chiefs are going to be right back in the mix.
But let us know what you think. 310-840-4910. Chance is in Alabama. Chance, first caller of the show. We're on for the next 4 hours. Let's make it a good one. Where are you on the Chiefs?
Yeah, you're talking like it's a given they're going to be back. I mean, 2 years ago, how many close calls did they have when Mahomes was healthy all year? I mean, it's like they had a horseshoe up there. You know what? I mean, they had so many games that were just fluky that they won. Also, to me, an ACL, it takes almost a full year to get healthy off of that. I mean, we don't know what Mahomes is going to look like. You're not taking that into account. Also, you just said that guy they're going to pick at 9, he's going to be a star. That's not a given. KC hasn't drafted very well the last year or two. I mean,
they haven't been picking in the top 10. Those are where the good players are.
It's still not a guarantee, though. They get rid of all their corners. Their offensive line sucks. I mean, I just don't see why you're saying it's a given. I mean, I think the Bills got a better chance. I think Baltimore's got a better chance. I don't know about the Chargers. Like I said, the biggest factor, though, is Mahomes in the ACL. You don't know how he's going to be able to move around. You don't know what plus with that offensive line, it's just a scary proposition. I don't see why you're acting like it's a done deal.
I'm telling you why. And I appreciate the phone call. And if you're with them, 310-840-4910. If you want in, let us know if I'm the crazy one here. It's possible I am. For the reasons you're outlining, sure. But generally what we see, the season's going to start almost 9 months to the day that Mahomes had his ACL injury. Generally, that's a 9-month recovery you're looking at. Let's say it's a 10-month recovery for whatever reason. We haven't seen a lot of examples in this century, certainly in the last 10 years, where guys aren't the same player coming back from that surgery. That surgery is so commonplace now that guys generally come back looking the same, especially when they play a position that isn't as reliant on you cutting and running as much as, say, a wide receiver or a running back. Quarterbacks coming back from ACLs, not something you're nearly as worried about as you might be, say, for a skill position guy. But even if it was a skill position player, 9 months, 10 months, that's plenty of recovery. And then the rest of the team, they've added. Again, this is Kansas City. You want to cite the close games. Are we not going to cite how many Super Bowls they played in this decade? That seems just as relevant as the small sample size of them playing close games in which they won 2 seasons ago. But 310-840-4910 if you want in on the program. Shifting things to the Masters real quickly. We've seen the good, we've seen the bad, we've seen the ugly. There was some sound today from an all-time legend that you're going to hear from in just a bit. Augusta, it calls us. We have some of our Westwood One team there. Actually, let's get to that in just a second. Mike is in Buffalo. He wants in. Mike, I just need a second opinion. We heard from Chance in Alabama. He doesn't think that Kansas City deserves the respect of a bounce back after being, a 6-10 team and not making the playoffs this past year. How much respect do you believe they deserve, Mike?
Well, they're champions. Even though I cannot stand them, they're still champions. and I got them winning their division. I think they're going to win their division. I don't think they're going to the Super Bowl. I think the Bills are Super Bowl or bust, and I think the Bills are finally not only going to get to the Super Bowl, but they're going to also win the Super Bowl. And I think we're going to all know that in 2 weeks when the draft, because there's a big, big trade coming up. And that's going to give us our number one receiver.
Tell me.
That's going to give us
Tell me
number
about
one
the trade.
receiver.
What's the trade happening? Tell me about it.
It's going to be on the draft day, and we are going to give up our number one. We're going to give up our number one pick this year and our number 2 pick next year for a number
to take
one
a receiver.
player. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
What receiver do you want?
Well, it's not what I want. It's what I think we're going to get. Because the one thing is the guy that a lot of people here are talking about is not my favorite player. However, he's still
so
a number one.
So you think the Bills
receiver.
are going to trade their second-round pick for DJ Moore and trade their first-round pick and next year's second-round pick for another receiver?
No. Well, the number 2 pick has already been traded.
That's what I'm saying.
So,
you already traded the second-round pick for a receiver. You're saying they're going to trade that second-round pick and then trade the first-rounder and next year's second for another receiver.
Yes, but for the number one receiver. For the number one receiver.
I like the take.
So,
I got
and
you.
that's
Appreciate.
That's going to put the offense, the best offense in the NFL, because you're not going to be able to stop Cook on the ball. And Allen has got a lot coming for him this year, and I believe he's going to win the MVP going away this year.
I got you.
Going
Appreciate
away
the call. Maybe we can get to the Bills another time, but get them fired up. Thank you, Mike. Appreciate the call on the Kansas City front. As promised, there was some good, there was some bad, there was some ugly from Augusta that we need to get to, in addition to your NFL calls at 310-840-4910, and that's next on Westwood One Sports Night.
Will Alabama QB Ty Simpson be picked in the first round? The Jets, Cardinals, and Steelers have been mentioned as fits for the pocket passer. The NFL Draft starts April 23rd. Westwood One Sports.
At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes, 30 seconds.
I think you made the right move. I mean, we were already. Let me know at any point if there's something.
That Kansas City one's going to be good.
Do me a favor.
At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes and 30 seconds.
Say it again. That's what I'm saying. JP Estrella from Tennessee. We need to talk about the City Connect uniforms at some point.
At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes.
Dude, the Atlanta one is sick. What are you talking about? Pittsburgh's is okay. Baltimore's. But that's fine. You don't have to recreate the wheel.
At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes, 30 seconds.
The Rangers one is so bad. It's just like, let's do our exact jerseys, but right to half. That's it. It looks like the same jersey. Guys, we're gonna have this fan buy these jerseys.
At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute. Stations, this is your final time check. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 30 seconds.
This is Westwood One Sports Night. Here's Josh Graham.
The question we're asking, how much respect do the Chiefs deserve going into next season? How should they be viewed? 310-840-4910 if you want in. You can also chime in on our YouTube, which has been growing at a rapid rate. Tremendous feedback for our coverage in Indianapolis at the Final Four. You can chime in real time and watch us in addition to listening to us on our YouTube channel. Got some Indy stories to tell that you're going to enjoy 20 minutes from now. Make sure you're sticking around for that. Round one of the Masters is in the book. There was some good. There was some bad. There was some ugly from day one in Augusta. And let's start with the good. The top of the leaderboard is exactly what you want. You have Rory McIlroy tied for the lead as the reigning Masters champ at 5 under par. He's tied with Sam Burns, who's a 29-year-old American seeking his first ever major championship. But it goes beyond Rory. 5 of the top 10 players in the world golf rankings are ranked in the top 10 on the Masters leaderboard right now. Scotty Scheffler, Justin Rose, Xander Schauffele, Tommy Fleetwood. Those are the other 4, in addition to Rory, of course. Then you have, rounding out the top 10, familiar major champions such as Shane Lowry, Jason Day, Patrick Reed. They round out that top 10. If this is what the leaderboard looks like on Sunday, then that is fabulous news for all of us. The bad, the absences of Tiger Woods and Phil Mickelson. Both players are dealing with personal issues off the course. Tiger's in rehab after his second DUI arrest. Phil had a private family matter that caused him to withdraw. It is the first time since 1994 that neither Tiger nor Phil are competing in Augusta this weekend. That's 32 years. 32 years we've had at least one of those two players competing, often both. 32 years, and those men have combined to win 25% of the Green Jackets over that period of time. Tiger with 5, Phil with 3. We shouldn't take these figures for granted, which is why the ceremonial first tee is always so special at the Masters. Jack Nicklaus, Gary Player, Tom Watson teeing things off to get things started. And actually, Gary Player, as you'll listen to here, he expressed some thoughts on Tiger's situation, and he had some strong opinions. Here was the 90-year-old golf legend.
Do I blame him for taking medicine? Hell no. He has sleep deprivation. Do I blame him for taking something to help him sleep? No. But I don't think he should drive a car. When you're taking that medicine, it's dangerous when you're driving a car. Same as it's dangerous when you look at your cell phone in the car. There's 6,000 accidents a day in America in motor cars. So I just think all he's got to do is just not drive a car and get a chauffeur. I mean, my reflexes, I think, are as good as when I was 20, but I don't drive anymore. I get a chauffeur.
Seems to make some sense. Gary Player in some very frank terms there. As Hot Carlito points out, Michael Caine sounds awful nowadays. Hello, I'm Michael Caine. There is some of that in Gary Player. So that's the bad. We miss Tiger. We miss Phil. We're not going to have these guys around forever. We want to see them at Augusta. The ugly, a horrendous day for the LIV golfers. Other than Patrick Reed, almost everybody struggled. Sergio Garcia, the only guy to salvage even par for the round. Bryson DeChambeau shot 4 over. John Rahm labored towards a 6 over 78. Ty Hatton, Cam Smith, each at 2 over par. It's almost like the tournament format of LIV and the irregularity of competition hurts your chances of winning major champions. Who could have seen that coming? So that's some good, that's some bad, that's some ugly from round 1 of the Masters. 310-840-4910. Mr. Positive is with us now. Let's keep it going. Great phone calls already. We have hot takes on the Chiefs, some hot disagreement. We have Buffalo Bills trades that we're being prepared for 2 weeks away from the draft. Getting into the Masters, Mr. Positive. What's your thought on it?
Josh, baby, boom, shakalaka. Everybody go for your dreams. I got to tell you, you've done your homework, Josh, baby. You got Scheffler, you got Rory, they got the two best. They're going to vie for it. Scotty's not been doing well for the past 3, 4, 5 weeks, and this is his time to shine. As usual, he will. I'm taking Scotty to win the whole thing. Yes, it's going to be tough. And when it comes to the Kansas City Chiefs, come on, you guys. How can you dismiss them? What? 5 NFL finals or whatever in the past 7, 8 years? No. With a pedigree of that kind of winning, you're going to be in the thick of things. I want my Bills to win. I want my Josh Elvis Allen. Obviously, hopefully that my Josh Elvis Graham will be supportive of Josh Elvis Allen. And I got to tell you, the Lions, real quick, Josh, we've done nothing to improve. We're going to be at the bottom of the heap in the NFC North.
Mr. Positive, what did I tell you
Josh,
about being negative? You haven't even brought up your championship-winning Michigan Wolverines. It's almost like you don't even care. It's almost like you don't even care.
You know I do. You know I love my Michigan Wolverines. That was a nail-biter. That was fantastic. Oh, my God. Who would have ever thunk it? I mean, they were warriors. They kept on fighting. It was a great battle with UConn, and it was just unbelievable. We were out rebounded. We were out the percentage of the baskets that we shot. We were under 40%, but yet we still won. It shows you grit. Would you say, Josh, this is one of the top 5 greatest basketball championship teams in the past 40 years? Could you say that?
Well, let me answer. Appreciate the call, Mr. Positive. I'd say no. Don't think I'd say they're one of the 5 greatest national champs of the last 40 years, because you got to include UNLV in 90, probably a couple Duke teams, 92 and 2001 come to mind. Yes, Will. The 2009 North Carolina Tar Heels, probably in that
Thank
mix. You. UConn in 2024, blowing out everybody. Villanova in 2018. Probably would take them over those teams, but sure, they're maybe in the mix of being in the top 5, to be a little respectful. Getting to the NBA, you want to talk about all-time teams. The Oklahoma City Thunder is in position to be an all-time NBA team right now. This is not a conversation that is popular in NBA circles currently, but it's a conversation we need to start having. Because since the playoffs in the NBA expanded to 16 teams in 1984, Oklahoma City is the 6th team to lock up the number 1 seed in their conference in 3 straight seasons. The other 5 were the Celtics and Lakers in the 80s, the Bulls in the 90s, the Lakers in the late 2000s, the Warriors last decade. All 5 of these teams won multiple titles during their runs, and other than maybe the Kobe Lakers of the late 2010s, these are considered the greatest teams in NBA history. The 86 Celtics, the 87 Showtime Lakers, the 96 Chicago Bulls, the 2017 Warriors with Durant. These are seen to be the best teams that we've ever seen. And it's about time we start talking about Oklahoma City in those terms. Even though they have slightly fewer wins than last year's champs, there are reasons to believe what they've shown us this year even more impressive than what we saw a year ago. Don't forget that the Thunder were without Jalen Williams, perhaps their second best player, for half the season. SGA also missed a dozen games. Speaking of SGA, he's in line to win the MVP again. Nobody wants to say it because there's SGA fatigue. And listen, yours truly not a huge fan of SGA. Think the guy's boring, think he pushes off a lot, think he's a free throw merchant at times. Not a huge fan of SGA, but he's deserved it. He's one of 2 players averaging 30 points per game again. His shooting percentages are up from last year's MVP season. His assist numbers are up. His turnovers are down. So what we're seeing from SGA, you can make a case is even better than what we saw a year ago, and last year was incredible. It truly is NBA title or bust for Oklahoma City. Can you imagine a scenario where they fall short of the title and you're saying, well, that's still a successful season? Not when you're being mentioned as one of the greatest teams in NBA history. Who can beat Oklahoma City? 7-game series. This isn't college basketball. This isn't March Madness where it's just one game. It's a 7-game series. Who can beat this Oklahoma City team 4 times out of 7? There are only 2 teams that present that threat, personally, how I view it. The San Antonio Spurs, who have had Oklahoma City's number in the regular season, and the Boston Celtics now that they got Jason Tatum back. Those are the only 2 teams that, if they're stacked up against this Oklahoma City team, you could picture it being Oklahoma City on the losing end, losing 4 of 7 games. So it's not sexy to have that conversation. It's not fun because there's been some Oklahoma City fatigue, but they deserve it. They're in position to become an all-time NBA team this year. This segment is sponsored by our friends at Progressive Commercial Insurance, protecting small businesses with affordable coverage options. Get a quote today at progressive.com. Don't want to overstate here. Your call is still welcome at 310-840-4910. Make sure you're subscribed to the YouTube channel that continues to grow, the podcast feed. If you miss any of our show, which includes a visit with the most entertaining guests in sports talk, B-Dot joining us later on, deep into the evening. You can find it on that podcast channel, Spotify, and on Apple Podcasts, searching Westwood One Sports Night. However, and wherever you're listening or watching, we greatly appreciate that. Coming up, Final Four story time from Indy, which features the Wild Beaver Saloon, a surprise trip to Lowe's, and an arsonist trying to take down a Chick-fil-A. This is Westwood One Sports Night.
As your official home of the NFL, we'll take you inside the NFL Draft with exclusive interviews and insight of the draft picks and the team selecting them. Get ready. We're 2 weeks away. Westwood One Sports.
At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes and 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute. Stations, this is your final time check. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 30 seconds.
This is Westwood One Sports Night. Here's Josh Graham.
Thank you for not playing the Darius Rucker version of this song. Old Crow Medicine Show, Wagon Wheel, which is a nice segue to what we need to talk about. Shout out to Ketch Secure. Shout out to Boone, North Carolina. Shout out to Old Crow Medicine Show. Wearing, for those watching on YouTube and on X, got the Old Crow gear on appropriately. This past weekend at the Final Four in Indianapolis left me in awe of how incredible our Westwood One sports team is. From a broadcast perspective, nobody has more talent than we do. And this is the first weekend I've spent around a large contingent of our team. And by the way, when I'm talking about broadcast talent, I'm certainly not talking about me. I'm talking about Kevin Kugler and Robbie Hummel and PJ Carlissimo. These guys are as good as it gets. Andy Katz, bringing you the Final Four and been doing so for a very, very long time. My way of just trying to meet the standard that they set was being up past 4 a.m. almost every night I was in Indy. And shout out to the engineers that helped all our shows become possible, from this late show in the convention center in Indianapolis Thursday and Friday to being put up in a hotel room courtesy of some piece of equipment called a Cradle Point, which sounds like a 90s action movie starring Nick Cage and Keanu Reeves. We got to get to the Cradle Point. Made it work somehow, and then being courtside after the title game ended. Those folks are superheroes. Plus, I met Grevis Vasquez, Maryland great Grevis Vasquez, who's on our Spanish-speaking broadcast, and I told him the insane story of how we met one time nearly 20 years ago. This is a true story. I love ACC basketball. Grew up watching it when Maryland was in the ACC. Got a lot of family from Maryland, hence is why I'm a huge Baltimore Orioles guy. And when Grevis Vasquez was in school, I visited some family in Maryland. We went to a Chick-fil-A, and guess who I met inside that Chick-fil-A circa 2008, 2009? It was Grevis Vasquez. And I'm telling Grevis this story right outside the Michigan locker room on Monday night, or maybe it was right before the game started. And he leaves. He took a picture with us, and he left. I was excited. I met Grevis Vasquez. No less than a minute after Grevis Vasquez exited the Chick-fil-A, some dude came sprinting in, threatening to burn down the place. Like, not kidding. Like, just walked in and started yelling that he's got gasoline and he's going to burn this Chick-fil-A to the ground. Less than 60 seconds after I had just met Grevis Vasquez, and he walked outside the building. And I told Grevis this story, and he was very interested in it. What? What, they wanted to burn down Chick-fil-A? I'm like, yes, Grevis, they did. I was very surprised. And eventually, you had staff pushing this guy out. He turned out to be a loon, and we turned out to be okay. But that's how I met Grevis Vasquez. What was I talking about? Oh, yeah, our team is very impressive. In terms of fun social stories to bring to you, there was only an 18-hour period, Sunday night and Monday morning, where I had time to do fun social things. And let's start with Sunday night karaoke. This is how this happened, because we posted this on social media. We had some fun with it. I'm at a very nice steakhouse, Will. I'm with all our top Westwood One brass that was invited to this dinner. It's great. I'm meeting many of these people for the first time. And somebody asked, hey, what are we going to do after dinner? And I said, hey, let's go sing karaoke. And shout out to, I think it was either Gary Williams. No, not the one that coached Grevis Vasquez, but one of the guys who is one of the great engineers that I just talked about, who said, hey, if you find a karaoke joint near us, we'll go to it. So I do what any reasonable person would do. I just Googled downtown Indianapolis karaoke joints, and wouldn't you know it, 400 feet from the steakhouse we were at is a place called the Wild Beaver Saloon. And they were true to their word. They said, hey, if you found one, we'll go. So I'm with Westwood One executives I just met for the first time and high-level folks that I'm trying to impress. And we go to this jam-packed place, and I even made a joke, Will, to everybody at the table. I said, you know what we need to do? Let's invite PJ Carlissimo to come out and sing karaoke with us. Ha, ha, ha. We're in line to get into the Wild Beaver Saloon, downtown Indianapolis. And who passes us by at about 11 p.m. at night in line? But our teammate, PJ Carlissimo. But he didn't have time for us in this setting. Why? Because he was with his friend Jim Boeheim. And they were on their way probably to dinner or to do something more fun than singing karaoke. So once we got in, there was no doubt what I was going to sing. And yes, it was Wagon Wheel by Old Crow Medicine Show. Here's how some of it sounded Sunday nights. I made it down the coast in 17 hours. Pay me a bouquet dog will alive. And I'm hoping for Raleigh. I can see my baby tonight. Let's go! So rock me, mama, like a wagon wheel. Rock me, mama, let it way you feel. Hey, mama, rock me. Oh, rock me, mama, like the wind in the rain. Rock me, mama, like a southbound train. There you go. Little bit of Old Crow. Will Dalton's laughing. Will, why are you laughing so hard?
It was just the way you came out of that last note there at the end of the clip had me laughing. You had the people going though. You did.
Oh yeah.
Great presentation.
There was some slow dancing, some old-fashioned country dancing. Got a lot of high fives afterwards. And the people I was trying to impress, it seemed I did. But, Will, that's not the only fun thing that I did. The next morning, me and my guy, Adam Schifrin, visited Hinkle Fieldhouse. This is just another example of how awesome our team is. Because after a night of karaoke and a couple of adult beverages, I didn't know if he was being serious. If he acted excited at the idea of me saying, hey, I want to visit Hinkle Fieldhouse. But as soon as I brought it up, he's like, yeah, I got a car. Let's do it. And it was great. But I thought it might be one of those things. It's past 2 a.m. I got a radio hit in the morning, and I only got like a 2-hour window I can do this, and it's like between 9 and 11 in the morning. But surely enough, right when I got done with the radio hit, I get the text, yo, you ready? And I was. So we hop in a car, and I thought it was only about like a 15, 20-minute drive to get to Hinkle Fieldhouse at Butler. But we were in the car for a little bit, and I wondered why. Turns out we went out of our way, Will. How excited was my guy, Adam? He stopped by a Lowe's to buy a tape measure just so when we get to Hinkle Fieldhouse, we're able to recreate the scene from Hoosiers where we're measuring, confirming that the rims are in fact 10 feet off the ground. In fact, if you're watching on our YouTube, we can find the pictures of this, of me on Adam Schifrin's shoulders, nearly injuring ourselves doing so, getting the measurements in. We had the tape measure, and the folks at Butler were nice enough to let us in, and we had a chance to visit with one of their assistant coaches. Had a really, really fun time that morning as a fan of Hoosiers and a fan of college basketball, checking out those windows. It was, oh man, it's just an excellent college gym, and recreating the scene from Hoosiers is just something that we had to do. And yes, if you're watching on YouTube or on X, you can see I'm on Adam Schifrin's shoulders and we're measuring it out. Confirmed it is 10 feet there. So there you go, Will. Those are the best stories I have for you from my time in Indianapolis. Having a great time. And again, just trying to work hard and bring the best programming we can to you, trying to meet the level of our Westwood One team, a play-by-play team that has perhaps the best broadcast reputation of anybody out there.
It sounds like a terrific time. I mean, the one thing you always told me about karaoke was you don't have to be a good singer. You just have to be having fun, and you just got to have a good presentation. Get the people going. And you did that. You did.
I thought you were going to be excited about the Hoosiers recreation where we measured the rims. That's the gym at the end of Hoosiers.
Yeah.
And our Westwood One teammate, Jason Horowitz, tracked down the real-life Jimmy Chitwood. He's named Bobby Plump, and he's 90 years old, still sharp as a tack, living in Indy, telling stories about what it was like to play in that championship game in 1954, what the movie is based off of. This year is the 40-year anniversary of Hoosiers. Tonight, just saw this on social media. Tonight is the 50-year anniversary of All the President's Men. These are movies that Will Dalton has seen. I've made Will Dalton watch both of these movies. Oliver Shack, who's taking your calls, 310-840-4910. Have you seen either Hoosiers or All the President's Men?
So I'm like the worst when it comes to movies. If I gave you a list of the movies I haven't seen, you'd probably ask for someone else to board off your show. It's that bad. So the answer is no. I haven't seen either of those movies.
Okay. Well, just know there's hope for you because Will Dalton was once that guy.
It was bad.
And when we did, see, this is a reunion of sorts. We did Afternoon Drive together. I did Afternoon Drive, the longest tenured sports talk show in the history of the market I was in, a top 50 market in North Carolina, Greensboro, Winston-Salem, High Point, for 7.5 years. Half of that time, Will Dalton produced the show. And when he started, his thing was kind of like you. I'd seen none of the movies. So what did we do? Every week, we made him watch a new movie for 3.5 years. And it got to the point where that was his identity. Like, we'd walk into the press box, and I and Eagle would see Will and say, "What's the movie this week? Have you seen Caddyshack?" With just random people. We'd go to a golf event, and he's like, "Oh, have you ever seen All the President's Men?" It's what it would be. So he's seen these movies. He can have opinions on these movies now and understand what we're talking about.
Like Roadhouse, just terrific. It's one of my favorite ones of all time.
Now, this might be the most fun part of it. We had him watch The Godfather, which he had not seen. We made him watch, again, the movies we just talked about, Hoosiers, All the President's Men, all the greatest movies. He has not seen them. And the movie that most resonated with Will was Patrick Swayze's Roadhouse from the late 80s, early 90s. It's amazing. It's probably why Will, for those watching the show rather than listening, you can see he's got the long hair. He kind of looks like Dalton from the movie, from Roadhouse.
Yeah.
So this is a long way of saying, Oliver Shank, that if there's any movie you should be taking away to watch from this, Roadhouse is the one for you, because Will was in your position 3.5 years ago, and we made him watch all the best movies, and the movie that he keeps going back to is Roadhouse.
I'll tell you.
Shout out to Kelly Lynch.
The worst one, the one I'm most disappointed in admitting I've never seen. I've never seen Field of Dreams.
Oh, that's brutal. You're a baseball fan, too.
That's the word.
Come on now.
I've never seen
Swaggy
Field of Dreams.
McNolegs
Best
says
sports
Throat
movie.
Ripper.
Best sports movie I've ever
Yeah.
seen, though, is Coach Carter. I'll die on that hill.
You need to see more sports movies,
Actually, no.
sounds like.
Blindside 1,
Hoosiers.
Coach Carter 2. My fault.
My Blindside? Holy hell.
I'm
Even
basic.
with what we know now. It's amazing. Since the NFL draft begins 2 weeks from tonight, who are we most confident is going to be a star in this year's draft? That's next.
This is Westwood One Sports.
At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes and 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute. Stations, this is your final time check. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 30 seconds.
This is Westwood One Sports Night. Here's Josh Graham.
Yes, sir. Westwood One Sports Night with you until 3 a.m. Eastern Time. Some takeaways from being at the Final Four in Indianapolis that the NBA should be paying close attention to in about 20 minutes. But let's actually look ahead further. 2 weeks from tonight, we're going to hear those sweet chimes sound on all of the broadcasts when the NFL draft begins. The NFL draft, it's almost here, 2 weeks away, and we're asking the question, when draft night arrives, who's the biggest star going to be in this year's class? 3 names stand out. Fernando Mendoza, he's the obvious one. He was the best player in college. He's an almost consensus number 1 prospect in this year's class. His story is known by all by helping Indiana win an improbable national title. And yeah, he plays the most important position in sports. There's a gulf between him and Ty Simpson, or whoever you view to be the second best guy in this class. And he's going to be paired with an offensive mind that just won the Super Bowl in Clint Kubiak, and Tom Brady is going to be central in helping bring Fernando Mendoza along with the Raiders. He's in the entertainment hub, one of the greatest entertainment hubs in all of the world, Las Vegas. This guy's going to be a star. Plain and simple. The second most likely star in this year's draft, Notre Dame running back Jeremiah Love. He's a destined star too, but destination is going to be key with him. Fingers crossed he doesn't end up in New York with the Jets or with the Cardinals or even with the Cleveland Browns. Let's hope. Fingers crossed. He's going to be a top 10 pick. Let's hope he doesn't end up any of those places, never to be heard of again. If he goes where he's most commonly been mocked to end up, either the Titans at 4 or the Giants at 5, Jeremiah Love is going to be a star right away. In either instance, Love, he'd be going to a place that has a promising second-year quarterback. Cam Ward, the number 1 pick from last year in Tennessee, Jackson Dart with the Giants. Both places have revamped coaching staffs. Robert Saleh taking over in Tennessee, but bringing in Brian Daboll as his offensive coordinator, that's top-notch. The Giants made the biggest splash this coaching cycle in hiring John Harbaugh. Running backs also, they just generally pop sooner in their career than most positions. So Love, he could be an impact guy in the league right away for a team trying to bounce back. That's picking in the top 10. We're going to cheat a little bit with the third name. So most likely stars in this year's draft. Fernando Mendoza, Indiana. Jeremiah Love, same state of Indiana, at Notre Dame right down the road. The third most likely star in this draft class is whoever the Chiefs take at 9. Because again, destination matters when you're becoming a star. Like, with all due respect, if you play for the Arizona Cardinals and you win 3 games, it doesn't really matter how good you are. You're not going to be a star. Marvin Harrison Jr.'s been there. He's been in Siberia pretty much trying to play football there. So going to Kansas City, who's picking in the top 10 for the first time since 2017, where they moved up to 10 to take Patrick Mahomes, you're likely going to be playing for a team that's good. You're going to be likely impacting a playoff team. And given what the strengths are in this draft, edge rusher, and then also how there are a handful of really good receivers at the top of the draft, it's not really the most deep receiver draft. Those are positions that will immediately thrust you in the limelight as well. Like, think of the biggest stars in the league. It's premium positions. It's quarterback, sure, but after that, it's the guys catching the touchdowns and the guys who are sacking the quarterback and doing those quarterback or those sack celebration dances after the fact. If it's one of those two positions, you're going to get a star. Kansas City has had interest in USC's Mekhi Lemon. Bet him on a top 30 visit. Same thing for Ohio State's Carnell Tate. Maybe it's Jordan Tyson from Arizona State. At edge rusher, the rest of the league should be kicking itself. Upset. Red in the face upset. If somehow, some way, the Chiefs are able to draft Reuben Bain out of Miami at 9. Or David Bailey out of Texas Tech at 9. How fitting would that be, by the way? If the last 2 times the Kansas City Chiefs pick in the top 10, they take stars out of Texas Tech. Patrick Mahomes in 2017, David Bailey in 2026, nearly a decade later. So, the Chiefs, they've been top of mind tonight. How worried are you about the Chiefs next season? It seems they're being undervalued. It seems they're being overlooked. They're not even favored to win their division. Should they be? And who is the best case scenario for Kansas City to take at number 9? 310-840-4910. You can give us a call. 310-840-4910 if you want in talking about the Kansas City Chiefs. Let's get to the big headlines of the night in the NBA. Jason Tatum returning to the scene of the crime. Or the scene of some trauma, probably a better way to put it. Last year, he had the Achilles injury in round 2 of the playoffs at Madison Square Garden. Tonight, his Celtics fall against the New York Knicks, 112-106. Tatum, he did lead the Celtics in scoring tonight. Don't know if Jaylen Brown played in tonight's game. He was not available. Jason Tatum was, though, and had 24 points. Couldn't really get it going from three-point land, though. 13 rebounds, 8 assists. He was close to booking a triple-double. So they lose the game, but he played well in it. It's most important that they're healthy. The Knicks, they're trying to convince folks, hey, we can be a dark horse in the Eastern Conference still. The Celtics, they have 54 wins, so many of those without Jason Tatum, but the Knicks now have 52 wins, and they win tonight. You could make a case this is the best New York Knicks team we've seen since they had that really goofy theme song in the 90s that they played. See if you can find that, by the way, Oliver. If we can find the New York Knicks song from the 90s that they played when they won basketball games, because this does feel as if it shades of the 90s, like 94, 95, when the Knicks were going with Patrick Ewing. We are the New York Knicks. I don't know why teams don't do that anymore. Make really cheesy, celebratory songs. It probably has a lot to do with social media. Like, back in the day, you're not thinking that everybody in the world is going to see this video that you just put out. It's not going all across the country. It's regional. And there's not social media where you can just play it over and over and over again, and it can be made fun of and picked apart. I think people, I guess what I'm saying is, I think people are a lot more self-aware now than they were then. Thus, back then, they would take more chances with something that you might find goofy. And I think this happens with a lot of our movies that are being made now, too. You see, the question is asked, this was a question asked with the Lethal Weapon remake from last year. Why aren't we seeing more comedies? It's the death of the comedy. I think social media might have killed comedies. Because what young people consider being comedies now are just TikToks or memes. That replaces, like, hey, going to see a full-length movie. And also, because of the self-awareness we're talking about, fewer and fewer people want to put themselves out there in a way to do comedic movies and do goofy things. This is why we need the perspective of the Utes. You know? So, Oliver, if you find that New York Knicks song, feel free to pass it along, because elsewhere in the NBA tonight, the Lakers and the Rockets. Oh, here we go. Go New York! Say go New York, go New York, go! Go New York, go New York, go! We're back on track on the floor, scoring more as 94, and the Knicks are hardcore, and I'll tell you like this, we ain't never looked sharper. With Hubert, Bonner, Greg, and Papa. Back on pace, everyone's gearing up for the championship race, and the fans are going crazy, and they're doing it for a reason, because 94 is the Knickerbocker season. You better believe got all that. See, 1994 was supposed to be their season, but the Houston Rockets had other ideas. And they made it to the finals. And during one of the games, the OJ chase was happening. And you had the picture-in-picture on NBC. It's a real thing. Speaking of the Rockets, that's what we call a segue in the biz. The Rockets 113, the Sixers 102. The Lakers handing it to Golden State right now. They both have the same record. We're going to get, in all likelihood, unless the Nuggets completely fold and fall apart down the final weekend of the season, it looks like we're going to get Rockets-Lakers in round one. We just don't know who's going to have home court advantage, because assuming this Lakers score holds up, both teams are going to be 51-29 with 2 games to go. The Rockets, I honestly don't know who has the tiebreaker between the two. WD, see if you can find the tiebreaker between the Rockets and the Lakers here, because the Lakers right now are technically a half game back, but they're going to win tonight. They're taking care of the Golden State Warriors. So 51-29, one's going to be hosting the other. That's likely what we're going to get, because the Nuggets,
the Lakers have it
still. Okay, so the Lakers would have home court if both teams win out the rest of the way or finish with the same record. There you go. Something to follow going into the final weekend of the NBA regular season. At least we're getting good games tonight. We got a couple of them. That Houston-Philly game was fun. The Knicks-Celtics game was fun, even though there was no Jaylen Brown. It's some decent games. Now, I'm off hiatus, Will. Like last week, the entire month of March, I didn't watch much of the association. I don't. Not during March Madness. I don't.
No, it kind of disappears for you a little bit.
Out of protest almost.
Yeah.
And that might be related to something we're going to talk about in just a second. But now's the time that it really gears up. Now's the time that we start paying attention. Because I'll even say this as somebody who loves college basketball more than any sport out there. The NCAA tournament is the best postseason in sports. The NBA finals are better than the Final Four. Because you're guaranteed, given the format, to have the best teams playing each other at the end, and that's what you want. And a best-of-7 series both teams knowing each other and having that familiarity, the chess match that goes with that. We're getting closer and closer to that, and we can't wait for that. But staying with the NBA, there is a big takeaway that Commissioner Adam Silver should have had after watching the Final Four this past weekend, and certainly the national championship on Monday night. And we'll tell you what that is next on Westwood One Sports Night.
Imagine a sports platform that talks with you, not at you. Your stories, your opinions, your one destination. This is Westwood One Sports.
At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes and 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute. Stations, this is your final time check. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 30 seconds.
This is Westwood One Sports Night. Here's Josh Graham.
Will Dalton, a lot of people are chiming in on YouTube. Shout out to those watching Westwood One Sports Night feed. Talking about your backdrop. I have my backdrop, which features some helmets and some things. And there are some questions that are being asked about what exactly you have in your backdrop. William and Daily Row and others, Florida Beck, are wondering what exactly is there. WD, you are how old?
30.
You're a 30-year-old man. 30 years old.
Yeah.
And I spy, with my little eye, some sort of PlayStation logo that's on the bottom. Don't tell me that thing lights up, too. Does it?
It does. It does light up.
All right. Light that thing up. We all want to see it.
You want me to all right.
YouTube, X. This is how we encourage people to jump on the YouTube feed. Oh, my gosh. Yes. There it is. See, Will was once gloating about the room that he's broadcasting from. And his way of gloating was to say, this isn't my man cave. This isn't my office. No, him being the 30-year-old man-child, he is like, this is my game room. Check out my game room. Let me see let me see that chair you're sitting in. Is that a multi-use gaming chair?
It is.
Is that what
I got
that
this
is?
From Costco. Yeah, and it's really
Does it
comfy,
have
too.
like the things on the side where you can have yourself an armrest and press the little buttons?
I mean, it doesn't have buttons on it, but it has armrests.
You're such a nerd.
This is my game room. It's a man cave. It is. And it's not a green screen. I'm insulted. I put this
Someone
together.
did suggest it was a green screen. What is there anything? Give me one item before we move on, mercifully. One item that you would like to share with the class, show and tell from your shelf in the backdrop over there. Because I'm now very curious at what exactly you have over there.
Yeah, this is my Darth Vader little mini replica helmet. Collector's edition. One of the many
Moving
prized
things along.
possessions I own.
I've had enough of that Star Wars stuff. It's unbelievable. The NBA needs to start viewing college basketball as a partner again. David Stern did. Adam Silver has not. And it's one of the greatest mistakes, one of the largest missteps during Silver's time as the NBA commissioner. And that was made the need for the NBA to view college hoops as a partner. It was made apparently clear earlier this week. But before we get into earlier this week, let's just look at how Adam Silver has mistreated the college game in his time as commish. Because not only has he chosen not to help elevate college, he's tried to undercut the sport. Remember when he created the G League Ignite path? for high school players, trying to pull some of the top players away from college into some G League adjacent path. He supported Overtime Elite, some of these others, and there were top players drafted. Like the Thompson twins. They came from one of those paths. Scoot Henderson, not in college basketball, but then goes top 5 in the draft because he was with Overtime Elite or one of these. We're getting them mixed up now. Doesn't really matter because no one cares about those. Nobody does. They do care about college basketball, and those players would have been stars if they played in college, and we would have known who they were going into the NBA if not for the NBA's efforts to undercut the sport. See, the NFL does treat college football like a partner, but in some ways they're forced to. There's this thing that exists called the Sports Broadcasting Act of 1961, which prevents the league from playing on Saturday from Saturdays in September through December. This is why you start seeing some Saturday games crop up for the NFL after Army-Navy in mid-December. And this benefits the NFL. Whether they like it or not, this benefits the NFL having a popular, thriving minor league that you don't have to pay for or manage yourself. That's a huge advantage. Your future stars are being branded, marketed, and you don't have to pay a damn thing before Fernando Mendoza gets drafted into your league 2 weeks from now. And everybody knows who he is already because of college football. College basketball is in a position to really help the NBA today. It's the NBA that is currently discussing rule changes to fix tanking with its regular season. It's the NBA that's the TV ratings that are continuing to tank. Not going up, but going down. Meanwhile, college basketball's product is as good as it's been. You got international players choosing to play in college rather than playing professionally overseas, and that's elevated the product. You've guys sticking around longer because they pay now, and they pay well. You do have the high school players coming in as well, really good class that just came in. And as a result, Monday night was the most watched national championship game in 7 years for college basketball. An average viewership of 18.3 million viewers. 18.3 million. That exceeds any NBA game that's been played this decade. Just like we see in football, there are massive brands in college that create massive stars going into the league. Look at Cooper Flagg. Look at Con Knipple from Duke. We know who these guys are. We have a relationship with these players already when they enter the league, and that's so much better than the unknowns of Scoot Henderson and the Thompson twins coming in that nobody knows, has no relationship to. This year, A.J. DeBonsa is going to lead this loaded draft class of freshmen. And we know who he is, and we know who Cam Boozer is, and Darren Peterson, because he's been talked about, because people talk about college basketball. People care about the sports. So the NBA is the league that needs to be proactive now. And here are a few practical steps that the NBA could take in building up college hoops. Let's start with the easiest step. Don't schedule NBA games the night of the national freaking championship. What on earth are you doing? Who's watching the NBA, better yet, going to NBA games the night that the national championship's being played on Monday? Wish we had in front of us here the attendance for these games. Wish we did. Probably not great when 18.3 million are watching the national title game. But what blatant disrespect that is for college hoops. That you're playing 5 NBA games the night of the national championship game. Honestly, You want to have a half-baked late-night idea, Will, that you're probably not going to get anywhere else? The NBA should figure out a way to have its All-Star festivities happen in March. Have the week off for the NBA be during the Final Four. Have it be that. And then you play the All-Star game. Have it the same site that the Final Four's at.
Ooh.
How about if you want to have an
that.
event, the one thing that would really prevent this is TV partners figuring that out. But let's just, again, half-baked ideas here. How cool would it have been if the NBA was off from Wednesday through Tuesday, the All-Star break happening last week, and you had the skills competition Friday night in the Colts Stadium in Indianapolis, where the college fans are converging, and now the NBA fans are there at the same time, and you have it inside the Colts Stadium, or maybe at the Pacers gym. I don't know. And then on Monday night, you have the All-Star game at a football stadium. All this is on the same court. And you have the Final Four on Saturday and Monday. You do it all at one site, and it's the greatest weekend of basketball each year. The NBA on Friday and Sunday, college hoops, Final Four on Saturday and Monday. Be the greatest thing ever, wouldn't it?
It would be cool to see the NBA players on the Final Four floor. Like, that would be really cool, that visual there. And it could really bring the two together.
Or if the site, how about just have an NBA game at the college basketball site? Help support the college basketball site and work together as partners. You know how Major League Baseball has a game at the Little League World Series every year?
Yep.
How cool would that be if that was part of the festivities, if you just added a day? If you don't want to get in the way of women's basketball having the Final Four Friday and on Sunday, what if you had the Final Four site host an NBA game on Thursday, and then that started the weekend, and you work together? That's the easiest thing you could do. Try to figure that out. This would be the most significant positive investment that the NBA could have on the college game. We've been talking about this for a while. There's a misconception. You have some who say, why doesn't college basketball have a rule where kids have to stay for multiple years in college? Well, the answer to that is it's because it's an NBA rule. It's the NBA that says that it's 1 year out of college, or 1 year out of high school, before you could be eligible for the draft. Could you imagine, Will, how cool it would be if college players had to stay in school for 2 years? Let's think specifically with this year's class. How cool is it if Cam Boozer, AJ DeBonsa, Caleb Wilson, Darren Peterson, Darius Acuff, Keaton Wagler, Mikal Brown Jr., and all these dudes had to come back for a second season in college?
I mean, given what we just saw, and if you knew, like, hey, this is what we have, like, you've got to come back another year. I mean, the incredible ratings that we saw this year in the tournament, you're going to get even more of them.
It'd be awesome.
Because you know what you're getting.
Well, they're not going to do that because they want those star players to be in the league sooner and sooner. But here's another practical one. This should be an easy fix, but it's something we've been asking for decades, and we still haven't gotten. Fix the NBA draft. One thing the NFL does so well is its draft that starts 2 weeks from tonight. We can't wait. And what it does well, it's a night where college football and NFL fans come together. You're celebrating the college player that you've watched the last 3 or 4 years, and you're celebrating as the NFL team that's landing these players, and that should be a giant win. The NFL draft is so big that they move it from city to city. Cities are vying to try to land the NFL draft in their city. The NBA draft is flat out broken as a TV product. It's awful. It's horrendous. Just, can you figure out a way to have your draft start, or have your draft after the new league year begins, so that way the trades can be made official immediately the night of, so that way the players and us watching can know who the hell the guys are playing for when they get drafted? Good God. How many decades do we have to watch players wearing the wrong hat? Will Dalton is a Charlotte Hornets fan. You get to see Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and Kobe Bryant wearing Hornet hats. Why?
Yeah.
Not because they were ever going to go to Charlotte, but because of this issue that's been there for decades. It makes the product of the draft itself awful. Horrific.
I mean, at least we got to see Kobe in a Hornets hat. We do have that visual. So that's nice.
Yes, congratulations. One of the great moments in Charlotte Hornet history is that you had Kobe Bryant one night wear a Hornet hat because the NBA can't figure out its draft. Congratulations. Make sure, if you haven't already, you are subscribed to the YouTube channel, subscribe to the podcast, search Westwood One Sports Night on Apple Podcasts or on Spotify. And on YouTube, you can watch us, you can listen to us at the same time. It's crazy. You can chime in on our chat, as many of you are doing. Westwood One Sports Night, however and wherever you're listening or watching, we greatly appreciate that. An all-time golf legend expressed some hot takes about Tiger Woods today. You'll hear that, and we'll react next on Westwood One Sports Night.
Will Alabama QB Ty Simpson be picked in the first round? The Jets, Cardinals, and Steelers have been mentioned as fits for the pocket passer. The NFL Draft starts April 23rd. Westwood One Sports.
At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes and 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute. Stations, this is your final time check. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 30 seconds.
This is Westwood One Sports Night. Here's Josh Graham.
There was some good, there was some bad, there was some ugly from day one of the Masters in Augusta. Just curious, do we have some Masters music? As much as I love AC/DC, it's that time of year. It's a tradition. Hello, friends. Pimentos and cheeses, azaleas bloomin', fathers and sons, pine trees and birdies. That's a double entendre. The Masters. Almost said the name of another network. But we do Masters updates on Westwood One, so hope that means we get the jangly guitar music that comes along with that. Hope that's the case. Getting to the good, getting to the bad, getting to the ugly. The good, the top of the leaderboard is exactly what you want. It's exactly what you want for your major championship. It's exactly what you want for the Masters. You have Rory McIlroy tied for the lead. 5 under par. He's your reigning Masters champion. He's tied with Sam Burns, 29-year-old American seeking his first major championship. But it goes beyond Rory, really. 5 of the top 10 golfers in the world. This is courtesy of the World Golf Ranking. They are ranked 5 of the top 10 in the World Golf Ranking are also ranked in the top 10 currently on the leaderboard. You have Scotty Scheffler, Justin Rose, and Xander Schauffele that are all at 2 under par, 3 off the lead. Tommy Fleetwood's at 1 under, all ranked in the top 10 of the World Golf Ranking. Then, to round out the top 10, you have familiar major champs. Shane Lowry, Jason Day, Patrick Reed. They're all there. If this is what the leaderboard looks like Sunday afternoon, that's incredible. That's exactly what you want. So that's the good. The bad, it's the absences of Tiger Woods and Phil Mickelson. Both players, they're dealing with personal issues. Tiger's in rehab after a second DUI arrest. Phil, he had a private family matter that caused him to withdraw. It's the first time since 1994 that neither Phil nor Tiger are competing in Augusta this weekend. That is 32 years. And by the way, over the last 32 tournaments, these men have won 25% of those green jackets. Tiger Woods with 5 green jackets, Phil Mickelson with 3. And these aren't guys we should take for granted. One of the things I look forward to every year, and this morning was taking my son to daycare, but prior to doing so, took the 5 minutes when the ceremonial first tee happens at Augusta. And you got Fred Ridley, the chairman of the Masters, introducing the Golden Bear, Jack Nicklaus, Gary Player, and Tom Watson to hit some tees and to tee off on the first tee box. These are not guys who are going to be here forever. And seeing them's great. And it was a reminder of what we lose when we don't see Tiger Woods there and when we don't see Phil Mickelson. And in fact, Gary Player, who's 90 years old now, actually expressed some strong opinions about the Tiger Woods situation. And here's what Gary had to say.
Do I blame him for taking medicine? Hell no. He has sleep deprivation. Do I blame him for taking something to help him sleep? No. But I don't think he should drive a car. When you're taking that medicine, it's dangerous when you're driving a car. Same as it's dangerous when you look at your cell phone in the car. There's 6,000 accidents a day in America in motor cars. So I just think all he's got to do is just not drive a car and get a chauffeur. I mean, my reflexes, I think, are as good as when I was 20. But I don't drive anymore. I get a chauffeur.
Seems like an easy solution. Hey, Tiger, get a chauffeur. Not a driver, get a chauffeur. So that's the bad. No Tiger, no Phil. The ugly, it was a horrendous day for the live golfers at the Masters. Other than Patrick Reed, who, as we acknowledged, is pretty close to the top of the leaderboard, almost every other live golfer had a bad day. Sergio Garcia is the only guy who was able to salvage even par for the round. You look at some of the other names, Bryson DeChambeau shot 4 over par. John Rahm labored towards a 6 over 78. Really did feel bad for Bryson, though, when he tripled. That was either 12 or 13 today that he tripled and had some difficulty in a sand trap. Ty Hatton, Cam Smith, they were each at 2 over par. It almost seems like, and stop me if this is a red hot take, it almost seems like the tournament format in live and the irregularity of competition in that league hurts your chances of winning major championships. Who could have seen that coming? There's something we need to talk about we haven't had a chance to hit yet. Major League Baseball has dropped 8 City Connect alternate uniforms today. 8 teams announcing alternate unis, City Connect jerseys, Pittsburgh, Kansas City, Milwaukee, Pittsburgh, Atlanta, Texas, Cincinnati, and yes, my Baltimore Orioles. If you're watching on YouTube, on X, at Josh Graham Show on X, Westwood One Sports Night on YouTube, we have the 8 uniforms that you could see. And in looking at them, let's start here. The Orioles, they almost threw a lights-out no-no at their City Connect. They almost did. They didn't. They almost did. Mostly because it couldn't be worse than the ones that they've played in the last 2 years. Their City Connect in the last 2 years has been pretty bad. Love the use of Be More across the front because that's what people in Baltimore call their city. Be More. Yeah, cool. The green sleeves, the nod to Camden Yards, one of the best places to watch baseball by having the home run plaques that you will see appear on Utah Street when guys hit it out that way on the side of the uni. That's great. The old school Oriole bird from the 90s. Love that. The only reason it's not perfect, don't know what they're doing with the hat logo, the B Baltimore logo on the hat. Also, not super in love with the number font. Don't love the number font. But the rest of it is good. It's so good that I'll buy a hat if it has the Oriole bird on it. Not going to buy the hat that has the Be More. Not going to buy a jersey of any means. Probably not going to do that. But think they did a nice job. Think they upgraded from their previous City Connect. The Atlanta Braves City Connect is perfect. No notes. The blue is classic. Will Dalton, what does it say across the front? Can't even tell.
It looks like it just says Atlanta.
Perfect. No notes. The blue, it's a look that is consistent with their other branding. They aren't recreating the wheel, and they shouldn't. Just, it's perfect. The Pirates, they're probably the runner-up to the Braves for the best look that's available. I like the Buccos Pirates font across the front of the chest and the yellow hat. I like that. Yes, I say yellow. Can I tell you one of my biggest pet peeves in sports? You know what? We'll get to that in a second. Let's talk about the worst. So we talked about the ones that we like. The worst, it's Milwaukee, it's Texas. The Rangers, it's the same uniforms of what they normally wear, except it says Tejas on it rather than Texas. It just looks like a typo on the front of your jersey. That's what it looks like. They're going to say, we're appealing to the Hispanic community in our town. It looks like you have a typo on the front of your chest. That's what it looks like. If you're going to do it, can you have your jerseys look dramatically different than what you already wear if you're going to go that path? Milwaukee's just reads Wisco across the front of the chest. Short for Wisconsin, I take it. But the reason why this is the worst one, Will, it's the worst. If you're going to go the Wisconsin path, Wisconsin is right there. And you passed it up. I mean, come on. Have jerseys. Have special T-Pain jerseys. Yay! And have it read Wisconsin right across the front. I've had enough of the jerseys now. I've had enough of it. There's my note. Wisconsin. Do you even know what that's a reference to?
I mean, it's how they say it.
No, that's not. It's how T-Pain said it in a song. And he sold merch. Went to a T-Pain show. It's like a Wisconsin Badgers font on the front, and it's spelled Wisconsin. There's a song called Can't Believe It with Lil Wayne, where he rhymes the word mansion with Wisconsin. That's what he does.
I love that.
But anyway, going back to a rant that I care about that no one else cares about. Yes, Pine Needle. Smash that like button. Smash that subscribe. Do all of that. I am a yellow absolutionist. Or an absolutist, excuse me. Absolutist, thank you. I am not a fan of yellow erasure. I think yellow's a great color, but I think teams think that yellow doesn't sound cool or regal or... So what do you instead hear? You hear every team in America say their colors are what? Gold. They're gold, when in fact their colors are actually yellow. You know what I mean? Like, LSU, you're purple and gold. My alma mater, East Carolina, they have a chant. Purple, gold. It's yellow. If you're watching, got the East Carolina logo right above my shoulder. That is purple and yellow. And it's okay to say that yellow is your color. Like, there are some teams that are actually gold where you could say that. The Vegas Golden Knights, that's Vegas gold, the colors that they're wearing there. Like, there are teams that actually wear gold that can call themselves that. The Pittsburgh Pirates, the Pittsburgh Steelers, that's yellow. Okay? You're not gold. You're not fooling anybody. You're gaslighting us. That's what you're doing. That is yellow. Okay? And it's fine that you're yellow. Yellow's a great color. That's why you use it. But don't tell us, don't use yellow as a color and then try to gaslight us in telling us that it's actually gold. It isn't. And I take issue with it. And I, as long as I have a platform here, will stand up for the color yellow. Are the Kansas City Chiefs being disrespected? As much as the color yellow. And is it warranted? That's next on Westwood One Sports Night.
This is Westwood One Sports.
At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes and 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute. Stations, this is your final time check. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 30 seconds.
This is Westwood One Sports Night. Here's Josh Graham.
It's bizarre just how overlooked the Kansas City Chiefs have been this offseason. And this isn't some straw man either. The disrespect, it's real. They aren't even the favorites to win the AFC West. And maybe it's because of the Trent McDuffie trade right before free agency started. But there seems to be this working theory out there that Kansas City is punting on this season. Oh, they're trying to rebuild. They're in rebuild mode now. Just flatly absurd. Here's where you should be on Kansas City. Here's where you should be in talking about the Chiefs. Don't sleep on them, number one. And they are absolutely positively returning to the playoffs this season. Full stop. They're going back to the playoffs. And let's be clear about this. It's not just that Patrick Mahomes is going to be back from injury, and he is. Let's not try to over-dramatize something that doesn't deserve over-dramatization. Patrick Mahomes is going to be fine. With ACL injuries at this point, we kind of know what they are. We know how long they last. It lasts 9 months. On the longer end, it's 10 months. And the NFL season, if it's exactly 9 months, he's going to be ready for the opener. Maybe miss a week or two. If it's 10 months, he'll be back in early October. And the season's 18 weeks now. You just brought in Justin Fields. You're going to be okay. You're going to be fine if you're Kansas City. To dismiss the notion of this being a rebuilding year, how at Andy Reid's age, why would he be in any way trying to play for the future? Tell that to Travis Kelce, who might have just 1 year remaining. Steve Spagnuolo, last I checked, still calling plays on defense. Chris Jones, Nick Bolton, George Karlaftis. These are not guys that are in the business of rebuilding right now. And rebuilding teams generally don't spend high-value margins on running backs like adding Super Bowl MVP Kenneth Walker in the backfield and bringing Eric Bieniemy back and reunited him with Patrick Mahomes. This is a team that is going for it. This is a team that is still trying to win Super Bowls. It's just not. How do we view this in the most fair of terms? That's really what I'm trying to do here. What's the fairest way to talk about this? Well, who are the teams that are in front of the Kansas City Chiefs? Who are the teams that have better odds at winning the AFC than they do? There are three of them. It's Baltimore, Buffalo, and the LA Chargers. And it would be less absurd to suggest that this is a rebuilding season for Kansas City, that they're trying to rebuild, if not for the AFC being as wide open as it seems to be. Because those teams have flaws too. Buffalo fired Sean McDermott and replaced him with a coach that has never done this before as a promotion. Does anybody have a clue if Joe Brady's going to be better at this than Sean McDermott is? I have my doubts. And they seem to be in desperation mode. They just traded a second-round draft pick for DJ Moore because they haven't been able to figure out wide receiver one since Stephon Diggs left a few years ago. The Baltimore Ravens also have a first-year head coach in Jesse Minter. And they also, like Kansas City, missed the playoffs last year. Yet, there they are as the favorites to potentially win the AFC and go to the Super Bowl. The LA Chargers, are you kidding? Justin Herbert's going into year 6 and still hasn't won a playoff game. And we're going to favor him to get to the Super Bowl more than favoring the Chiefs with Mahomes? What are we doing? And 2 weeks from tonight, Kansas City is going to add another star with the number 9 overall pick. They haven't had a pick this high. They haven't had a top 10 pick in the draft since Patrick Mahomes was the pick in 2017, nearly 10 years ago. They moved up to take him at number 10. The last time they had a pick 9th or better, they had the number 1 pick of the draft in 2013 when they took Eric Fisher number 1. They are likely to draft a star. You could get either a top edge rusher. This is a deep edge rusher draft. Maybe either David Bailey from Texas Tech or Ruben May fall to you at that pick. Or take a swing on a top receiver. Take Mekhi Lemon, reportedly, has had a top 30 visit with Kansas City. Same thing for Carnell Tate from Ohio State. Jordan Tyson is scheduling individual workouts with teams next week. They could also select a stud tackle that'll protect Patrick Mahomes' blind side for the remainder of his career. That's who they're going to get 2 weeks from tonight with that number 9 overall pick. But you tell us, what should be the expectation for the Chiefs this season? Are the Chiefs being disrespected? 310-840-4910 if you want in. 310-840-4910. Shout out to those who are watching on X at Josh Graham Show and at Westwood One Sports Night on YouTube. This is the best encouragement we have for you to potentially watch the show. Because sometimes there are Easter eggs that make an appearance on the screen that aren't intended to be there at all, such as my chips and salsa that I thought I had pushed far enough off the screen. This is the late night snack. You know how Linnell has Meal Monday? I don't have any fun alliteration for Thursday, but got some salsa from Casco, and I got some tortilla chips from the same place. Yes, I'm a Costco man. And I didn't intend on that to be on the screen, but it was, and I'm a fan of recognizing it before anybody else does. It's what I call the B-Rabbit strategy, where I'm going to take all your ammunition away from you before you have a chance to use it, Papa Doc.
It really is the best snack.
Daily Row. Holy smokes, that's a lot of salsa.
Darn right it is.
Clearly you don't know ball when it comes to Costco. Because everything you get, that's a lot of fill in the blank. Mm-hmm. It's Costco. Mm-hmm. That's what we're doing here. Casco, Florida Beck. It's the start of baseball season into basketball and hockey, and we're talking about the Chiefs' new season? Well, the NFL draft. Sound the chimes. It's 2 weeks away from tonight. We're counting down the seconds till the Raiders are on the clock. Injected into my veins. That's the first sound I want to hear when I wake up. That's the last sound I want to hear when I go to bed. It's magical. If we still do, does anybody still do ringtones? Is that still a thing? If it is, that's what I want as my ringtone, Oliver. I want every time you call me, how about just my text tone? nothing more obnoxious than having a text tone. But how great would it be if every time you texted me, again, you can't. Outstanding. Your predecessor, shout out to the tallest Latino in sports talk, Mondo. He was introduced to that piece of sound on this show. He didn't know what it was, and he started giggling. And I remember asking him, why are you giggling at that sound? And he said, it sounds like the chimes in Harry Potter. That's what he said. Sounds like it belongs in Harry Potter. So now every time I hear that, I think of Harry Potter.
By the way, back to our movie thing. I've never seen a full Harry Potter movie. Literally not one of them.
Well, you know,
or Star Wars.
You do have the ability to play that sounder one more time. This is what you would expect when Harry is walking from class to class. You might hear something. Oh no, Harry! We gotta participate in the Tri-Wizard tournaments! Harry! It's me doing my best Ron Weasley impression. Didn't know this is where we were going to end up. But 310-840-4910. The Kansas City Chiefs, are they being slept on? You know, a team that we certainly shouldn't be sleeping on. Going into the next basketball season, the Michigan Wolverines. They won the title on Monday. National champions, beating UConn. First title since 1989. The Big Ten's first championship since 2000. And they're quickly becoming next year's favorite as well. Because the portal's open, and they already have landed one of the best portal bigs available, Tennessee big man J.P. Estrella. You add him, while A.D. Mara has not declared for the NBA draft yet, has one more year of eligibility. This move does suggest that the Michigan Wolverines think that he's going to be moving on. They're likely to be losing Yaxel Lindeborg. Lindeborg should be a late lottery pick. Moretz Johnson probably is gone too. But we just learned tonight, Final Four most outstanding player, the Michigan point guard Elliot Cadeau is going to be back for his senior season. And good for him, receiving a victory lap this year. He deserves to have a big man on campus type of season. He received a ton of unnecessary nonsense when he was at North Carolina for 2 seasons. You had Raymond Felton and a couple former Tar Heels doing a podcast saying, after a loss against Duke, we need a point guard. That's what we need. We need a point guard. And now North Carolina is the team losing by blowing a 19-point lead in the first round of the NCAA tournament a year later, while Elliot Cadeau leaves for greener pastures, wins the national title, and the most outstanding player in the Final Four. Hey, Raymond Felton. Turns out that guy is a point guard. Turns out that guy's pretty good. Where you be? Where's Raymond Felton at? Would like to know. Speaking of the state of North Carolina, Michigan is reportedly set to meet with Wake Forest transfer Juke Harris. You might not know that name, but in the ACC, he averaged over 20 points a game for the Demon Deacons. Should have been first team all-conference, settled for second team. If he goes to Michigan, along with Cadeau being back and J.P. Estrella, that's going to be a dangerous national title-worthy team yet again. Yet again, it's going to be that. But, Will, this is my assumption. A lot of people are making or having strong takes to how many players are in the portal. I want to see how many of the players are entering the portal, what percentage are actually leaving their schools versus using the portal to leverage more money out of the school they're at to ultimately return. I think we're going to see a lot of examples of that happening. And frankly, there are just too many names in the portal right now, and the season just ended on Monday, that I haven't followed much of it except for what the champions just did with Michigan because it stands out so much. How quickly they're moving and the types of guys they're getting back, Elliot Cadeau and who they just added, J.P. Estrella. That's a starting center for an Elite Eight team. And Juke Harris, this is the ACC, not the Horizon League. he's averaging 20-plus a game. If they land him and you get Cadeau and you have Estrella and you get one of these guys back from last year's team that's an impact player, and given how deep they were, wouldn't it surprise me if they do? Michigan, once again, looks like a monster. A monster for next season.
Just better hope Duke or North Carolina doesn't have anything to say about Juke Harris. That's all I got to say. Because apparently Carolina has been in contact as well, reportedly.
Oh, is that right? He is a North Carolina kid. The only
NC
note
State
I have
too,
on Juke Harris is he has a pet peeve. And one of Juke Harris's pet peeves, maybe one of the best scorers in college basketball next year, maybe the best player in the portal available, he hates it when people don't return their carts at grocery stores.
This is true.
He always puts his grocery cart back. So circling back where we were at the middle of the segment when I brought out the massive salsa jar and the salsa that I've been enjoying throughout tonight's program, I see you, Costco shopper, that's taking the front end of your cart and then putting it on the curb because you don't want to walk the 2 minutes it takes either to take it back to the front of the Costco or to put it where it's supposed to be, the bins that they have conveniently for you in the parking lot. We all see you. We all see you. And we all know what you are. Lazy and kind of a bleep hole. We see you. Stop it. Stop it. I placed a ton of golf bets. We'll get to them in Graham's Gambling next on Westwood One Sports Night.
As your official home of the NFL, we'll take you inside the NFL Draft with exclusive interviews and insight of the draft picks and the team selecting them. Get ready. We're 2 weeks away. Westwood One Sports.
At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes and 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute. Stations, this is your final time check. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 30 seconds.
This is Westwood One Sports Night. Here's Josh Graham.
So, you're watching Rockies Padres bottom 11, 3-3 tie with runners on second and third with 2 outs. No, you're watching that, not us here on Westwood One Sports Night. Padres unveiling meh City Connect uniforms today. Oliver, are they wearing those uniforms tonight in a position to walk off at Petco, or are they wearing something more traditional? Gonna need to turn your mic on.
My apologies. Professionals. But the Padres just blew it, and no, they are not.
They're not well, maybe if they did, they might get a different result. So it looks like we're going to the top of the 12th.
Yes, we
cool.
are.
More live action for us to follow late at night, however, and wherever you're with us. We greatly appreciate that, however you consume the content. Now let's hand out some bets, and let's get to the golf as well. It's time for Graham's Gambling.
Sitting back, count money all day, you know.
It's time for Graham's Gambling. Let's make some money.
Linnell ruined that imaging for me. Because every time I hear that now, I think the guy is saying, freaky man counting money all day, you know. Can we do the thing we've done before so that Will Dalton can give us a second opinion on this? Or at least we get a second opinion. You tell me what's being said at the start of this clip. It's now something that in our show circles is being much debated, much talked about.
Sitting back, count money all day, you know.
It's time for Graham's Gambling. Let's make some money.
It sounds like sitting back counting money all day.
See, that's what I said. And
that's
you
what I
know,
heard the
you
first
made
time,
me
too.
feel a lot better. Because every time I hear it, that's what I think of now. Hot Carlito's not helping at all when he chimes in with stinky man count money all day, you know. But it might be a good segue to the picks that we actually have, because the golf picks, stinky. They stink. Because going through it, I bet 3 players to win outright this tournament, and knew we were in trouble at the start when I see that Cameron Young was one of the picks, and Cam Young is at 4 over par before I could even get to the Amazon Prime stream at 1 in the afternoon Eastern. He did bounce back to get to 1 over, so he did recover on the back 9 really well to put himself back in position. Can't say the same, though, about some of the other players that we were rolling with. Can't say the same about Bryson DeChambeau. 4 over 76 for Beefy Bryson. Not shooting it well in any type of way. Matt Fitzpatrick was the 3rd pick I had to win the tournament. +2 on the round. So if you're following at home, +1, +2, and +4, the 3 golfers I had outright winners in the tournament. 3 top 10 finisher bets we've placed. Corey Connors to finish top 10 because he's always there. +3 in the first round. Not ideal. Not happy about it. Not pretending to be. We also can't really explain why, but had good feelings about Akshay Patia. Akshay, he was fabulous at the start of the tournament. He's at -2 at the turn, but then he double bogeys 17. Had 3 more bogeys on the back 9 too, so he's at +1 for the round. So he could still get the top 10 status, just not outstanding. Chris Gotterup, he's tied for 17. He's an even par. Had him as a top 10 finisher as well. First time playing the Masters, Chris Gotterup. So those are the top 10s. And then took a couple of swings on top 20s that don't look great either. Sungjae M. Ugh. Sungjae, he's had some wrist issues to start the season. So he's only been playing really for the last month. Had a couple of decent finishes, but Sungjae, where did he finish up at? He was at +6. Now he's at +4. So can he still get the top 20 status? You got to make the cut first. Got to worry about making the cut. And did I have another top 20 finisher? Oh, I did. It was Patrick Reed. That one's pretty good. Patrick Reed, top 20 when he's tied for 3rd. Like that. How about a bet that you could actually place yourself? WD, betting baseball. And I don't know if you've noticed, but the Boston Red Sox are off to a terrible start to the season. The Red Sox, they're 4-8. That's the fewest amount. That's the worst record in baseball. Actually, the Mariners are 4-9. Take that back. So they're only a half game better than the worst record in baseball. Another big takeaway is how good the NL Central has played this year. Everybody is 500 or better in the NL Central. So someone explained to me, like I'm 5, why I could take the Cardinals just to flat out win the game at plus money at Busch Stadium against the Red Sox. And Dustin May is pitching for the Cardinals, who last season was discarded by the Red Sox in the offseason. No interest in bringing him back. I love the Cardinals tomorrow night. So we're just going to take advantage of that because it's right there. St. Louis plus 123, according to our friends at DraftKings, to win against the Boston Red Sox. We're going to do that. 310-840-4910. Do we still have Jim from Boston? 310-840-4910. Jim, we're asking this question today. The Kansas City Chiefs, they're being slept on. I don't get it. Maybe it's because of Mahomes' knee. Maybe it's because of recency bias. It's strange to me that Vegas is following along with this, and the narratives seem to have gotten to a place that are kind of crazy considering where the Chiefs were, I don't know, at this time 15, 14 months ago. But what do you say, Jim?
Well, being a Patriot fan and last year them going to the bowl, they got to the Super Bowl because of the weak schedule. That's going to benefit Kansas City this year, and nobody's really thinking about that. They're going to play Miami, the Jets, right? So,
yeah.
And they're playing the Cardinals. I mean, there's a lot of wins there that they're going to get more, easier than they would have to do if they were in a tougher first place last year. That's going to be a big part of them moving forward. And they're going to change the offense a little bit, I think, with the running back there and try to take a little bit of that pressure off Mahomes. Unless they do get a receiver in the draft, like you mentioned a little while ago.
Jim, do you have any issues with me picking Dustin May and the Cardinals against the Sox tomorrow?
Absolutely. And the Sox aren't even playing well, but Dustin May is a bum. That's why the Sox let him go. He is a bum.
Oh, that's outstanding. I appreciate
the Red Sox last year made so many mistakes. They made so many mistakes in the trades and the Devis thing, and all those guys are gone now. We didn't get nothing for anybody. So Dustin May was probably the worst one we got out of that deal, out of those trades last year.
Maybe I'm sympathetic. I appreciate the call because you can't see it if you're watching on YouTube or on X at Josh Cram Show, but I do identify in terms to try to mimic the accent a little bit. I do identify as a ginger. It's what I identify as. And Dustin May is one of those. He's one of us. Honestly. One of us. One of us. If you're going to give me plus money to bet against a team that has the fewest amount of wins in baseball and is on the road against a pitcher that might have a chip on his shoulder that's also a ginger, I can't refuse it. I can't not bet on that. I can't not do it. Just like Will Dalton, producer of this program, in Denton Day's place tonight, told me he had one contractual requirement to pinch hitting tonight and tomorrow on Westwood One Sports Night. And the written agreement, it's required, it has to happen, is that we talk about the Charlotte Hornets and Michael Malone. Not Mike Malone, Michael Malone being the head coach of your North Carolina Tar Heels. Fortunately, B-Dot's joining us at the top of next hour, the most entertaining guest in sports talk. So he will probably help check the Tar Heel box. But what specifically did you want to talk about related to Michael Malone and the Charlotte Hornets?
Well, the Charlotte Hornets currently locked into the play-in tournament. Kind of a bummer. Speaking of Boston, they actually lost against the Celtics the other night. They kind of needed to get that if they wanted to potentially skip the play-in, but that didn't happen. And Toronto, who's in front of them, won both of their games. Now, Philly, they've lost a couple, so now they're even with the Hornets. So the Hornets might be able to slide into the 8th spot and have a couple of shots to get into the playoffs.
Will, you're making me
at the 9.
You're making me want to turn your mic off.
You asked me, though.
I asked you to say something interesting, not tell us how the standings work.
Well, that's what's going on. They're trying to figure it out. But Michael Malone, though, excited for that. Gonna bring
I like the idea of there being joint personalities as the head coach of the North Carolina Tar Heels. Like, I like the idea of the guy we saw during the victory parade who was soused when talking to the fans being Mike. Like, that's Mike, right? Yeah. And then Michael is the guy we saw in the presser. Michael. The guy who chews reporters' heads off, that's Mike. The guy who apparently can push his players really hard, yet somehow was friends with Boogie Cousins, coaching him, that's Mike. Michael? Michael is the dad of the volleyball coach or the volleyball player at North Carolina. Michael's the guy that wears the tie. Michael's the guy meeting the former players. Like, I do like the idea of having, in certain occasions he's Mike, in other occasions he's Michael, which the latter is what he actually prefers, apparently.
Yes, it is. I did not know this before the other day. Glad I know it now.
Michael Malone. Did we have a finish to the last baseball game of the night?
Little Xander Bogaerts walk-off homer.
That we're getting, speaking of the Sox, Xander Bogaerts with a walk-off 2-run homer? How about that? They needed a 2-out hit in the 11th to tie up the Rockies. The Padres figuring out the win late on this Thursday night. Getting to the NBA. There's a conversation some are hesitant to have regarding the Oklahoma City Thunder that, frankly, we really need to be discussing right now. And that is a discussion we'll have next on Westwood One Sports Night.
Imagine a sports platform that talks with you, not at you. Your stories, your opinions, your one destination. This is Westwood One Sports.
At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes and 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute. Stations, this is your final time check. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 30 seconds.
This is Westwood One Sports Night. Here's Josh Graham.
It's the time in the night where things start to get weird. B-Dot's going to join us 20 minutes from now. He'll take us to grammar school. 310-840-4910. You tell us if the Chiefs are being overlooked, if the Chiefs are being doubted. It does seem they are. So really the question is it warranted? Is the doubts Kansas City that we're seeing with this Chiefs team, is that something you think is over the top? 310-840-4910. The Chiefs, they have had some all-time NFL teams. And earlier this decade, one of the great runs we've seen a team have in season after season after season. Dynastic stuff. In the NBA, we're seeing something similar right now. The Oklahoma City Thunder is in position to become an all-time NBA team right now, and it's about time we start having the conversation. It's strange. They're not the most compelling team. They're not really hateable yet. They're not really super likable either. They're just kind of there. They're acknowledged. They're respected as being the best team in the sport. But we've never seen a team as dominant as the Thunder is while being this disinteresting. And why is that? Since the playoffs expanded to 16 teams in the NBA, this is back in 1984, Oklahoma City is the sixth team to lock up the number one seed in its conference 3 straight years. The other 5 were the Celtics and Lakers in the 80s, the Chicago Bulls in the 90s, the Lakers again in the late 2010s, and the Warriors last decade. All 5 of these teams won multiple titles during these runs. Multiple championships. All of them have. And Oklahoma City has a chance to win their second in a row. And other than maybe the Kobe Lakers in the late 2000s, these teams we just rattled off, these are the greatest teams in the history of the sport. Like, whenever you have that conversation, it's the 86 Celtics. It's the 87 Lakers. Showtime. It's the 96 Chicago Bulls. It's the 2017 Warriors with Kevin Durant. Even though Oklahoma City has slightly fewer wins than last year's champion, at least in the regular season, there are reasons to believe that this year's team has been more impressive. Don't forget that the Thunder were without perhaps their second best player, Jalen Williams, for half the season. Don't forget that SGA missed a dozen games. Speaking of SGA, don't know where you're at on the MVP conversation, but he is in line to win the MVP again. He is one of two players averaging over 30 points again. But what makes it interesting, his shooting percentages are up, his assist numbers are up, his turnovers are down. Like, there are ways you could argue that he's been a better player this year than he was last year when he was the runaway MVP. So, with respect to Victor Wembanyama, think that it's going to be SGA. And that's being said, personally, I'm not a big SGA fan. Hate the way he pushes off. Can be a bit of a free throw merchant at times. Think his commercials suck. I just not a fan of SGA.
Hey, now. Don't hate on the commercials.
Oh, no, we're all wearing the same jacket. What a dilemma. Oh, my God. Is he in the Wingstop commercials, too? Is he?
I don't know.
Do you have a strong opinion on the MVP?
I mean, there was a time where I thought it was going to be Wemby, but I think for all the reasons you just laid out, it's probably going to be SGA. That's just the way it is.
And it should. And it should. It really is title or bust for OKC. Is there a scenario that they fall short and you say, well, it's still a success? Not when you're the reigning champs. Not when you're being mentioned as one of the greatest teams in history, even if it happens in the finals. But how many teams, how long is the list to Will Dalton of teams that could beat, are capable of beating Oklahoma City in a 7-game series? How long is that list?
Maybe Detroit or Boston. Maybe in the East.
I have Boston with Jason Tatum that could. Yes.
Yeah.
No to the Pistons. No to the Knicks.
And no to Cleveland.
Yeah, not even considering them.
Okay.
Cleveland, I hated their deadline. I said it at the time.
I know you did. You weren't a fan of that.
You panicked and thought that James Harden was going to be the answer. That's a great idea. That's going to solve all your problems. Hated it. Hated it the moment it happened. Didn't think they were making themselves better by getting rid of DeAndre Hunter and getting rid of Darius Garland. Hated it in the moment. Hate it now. They have no shot.
If Wemby's healthy, the Spurs, potentially. I think they can go toe-to-toe with him.
They have OKC's number in the regular season. Yeah. So I think those are the two teams. I think it's Oklahoma City, or I think it's San Antonio, and it's the Boston Celtics. Don't see anybody else that can beat that team 4 times out of 7.
This is the part where I remind you, Charlotte waxed OKC.
Gosh, come on, man.
Up in their building.
Stop it.
Up in their building.
No.
They did.
See,
by 27.
I wish when I invited you to say something interesting about Charlotte, that would have been a good time to bring it up. That would have been a good time to bring it up. I would have rolled my eyes at it, but I wouldn't have mocked you. I said, all right, well, that's at least interesting. Now, no. You had your opportunity. I met my contractual obligations of saying we would talk about the Hornets. Like, what are you going to bring up next? The G League champion Greensboro Swarm? What? what are you going to do next?
I think I might let B-Dot do that. B-Dot might have a word or two on that.
Yeah, like he's going to.
We were both at the game last night.
That's probably not. Oh, you both were at a G League game last night?
Yeah, the Swarm. They're playing for the finals.
Sounds great. I need to
City.
give some love, by the way. Our Westwood One play-by-play team, our broadcast team, it's just incredible. Like, being around them, around our team for the first time, like in some last weekend, I was just in awe by our operation. And I'm not just talking about how great our broadcast talent is, and it is great. Like, you're talking about, doesn't get better, much better than Kevin Kugler, Robbie Hummel, PJ Carlissimo, and Andy Katz. It doesn't get much better than that, right? And then how about one of our favorites, Debbie Antonelli, along with Ryan Ratke, calling the women's tournament? Again, in terms of broadcast talent, we have Kevin Harlan and Ian Eagle calling NFL games for us. What more could you want than that? But I'm talking behind the scenes. I'm talking about the technical stuff. I'm talking about the people, Will, who left Indianapolis and immediately made their way to Augusta to do Masters updates this week, as we have at Westwood One. And then I'm just getting word now, Oliver passed this along to me, that we also had Frozen 4 hockey that we're doing as well at Westwood One. Shout out to DU hockey, college hockey. Michigan can't win everything, kid. Denver, 4-3 winners in double overtime. Shout out to the Pioneers going to the national championship where they're going to face Wisconsin, Saturday night. Boom. Fire it up. I like this idea. If you're watching on YouTube, you could chime in on the show, Westwood One Sports Night. Pete writes in, Josh Graham will get some ink like LaMelo if the Hornets make the playoffs and win a series. If the Charlotte Hornets go to the NBA Finals, I will get a tattoo. If the Charlotte Hornets go to the NBA Finals, I will get a tattoo. Not win the finals.
Yeah.
But if they are what you are claiming they are, Will Dalton, the hottest team in the NBA, the hottest team in the East.
Not so much anymore, but
if they win the East, if they win the East this year, I will get a tattoo.
Okay.
That seems like a pretty strong, firm commitment that I'm making here.
They've got their work cut out for them, but there is a world where they could pull it off. There is a world.
I can't believe I just said this out loud.
Hey.
But I'm committed to the bit. Now, I'm not going to get a LaMelo sleeve.
No.
I'm not going to do
one.
All the gonna get the words 6'7" emblazoned across my chest.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's still a thing. That's not a thing the kids do anymore, I don't think. I don't think they do 6'7". So, no, I just might get Con Knippel's face, Steve-O style, on the back, on my back, like landscape. Con Knippel's face on my back. We could do that. We'll take ideas. See, this is what happens late at night. Pete throws something out there, and then now I might be on the hook for it. But to the point of the Hornets, a lot of people speak reverentially about the 90s Hornets. Oh, the starter jackets and Muggsy Bogues and Grandmama. Look how fun they are. That team won one playoff series against a banged-up Celtics team. I think it ended Larry Bird's career. Not even a good Celtics team, and yet we talk about them reverentially. They have never even been to an Eastern Conference Finals before. They won one playoff series, but we talk about them reverentially. Just for some teams, it's okay to look cool with the cool colors and be fun. And to Charlotte's credit, and they're proving this year, that's the bar. Can you clear that bar? And they are. Florida Beck writes in, Zoe? Yes, Zoe. Yes, Zoe. Can't forget about him, or Vlade Divac. When B-Dot, the most entertaining guest in sports talk, joins us, he'll take us to grammar school, and that is next on Westwood One Sports Night.
This is Westwood One Sports.
At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes and 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute. Stations, this is your final time check. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 30 seconds.
This is Westwood One Sports Night. Here's Josh Graham.
For 7.5 years, I did afternoon drive for now an affiliate of Westwood One Sports, WSJS in Winston-Salem, Greensboro, High Point area of North Carolina. It's where I met somebody that became such a tight friend. He was a groomsman in my wedding, and he is the most entertaining guest in all of sports talk. That would be B-Dot, who is joining us. But for most of that tenure, 7.5 years, the producer of the program, who now hosts the show that I left to do this, Will Dalton, is also part of tonight's program, producing it. So in a way, B-Dot, we've got the band back together before we get into the grammar school and the North Carolina basketball news of the week. It just seems right that we acknowledge that up top.
The boys are back in town. That's that jam right there, man. Welcome back, guys.
Let's do this.
We're like a reverse Oreo cookie, you know? Like you two guys, you are the outside, and then I'm the chocolate inside. Oh,
delicious.
I mean, delicious.
You are as plugged in as anybody when it comes to former North Carolina basketball players. You know so many of them. How well, it's called the Carolina family. We've heard a lot about that this week post Michael Malone. Don't call him Mike. You don't want to see Mike. Michael Malone being hired. How are the former players receiving this hire that you've spoken with?
I haven't seen one player say one bad thing about Coach Michael Malone, even the player he traded in Ty Lawson. Ty Lawson was online praising Coach Michael Malone and like, oh my gosh, we got a great one here, man. It was really a great time. And you talk about the Carolina family, bro, like it was almost like Carolina family at the press conference. Like he seemed like the distant cousin that we just hadn't seen in a long time. He was sort of estranged from the family. He went off and went and married somebody that we didn't really approve of and had kids and stuff. And then he came back home and we accepted him again. That's what it sort of felt like, an estranged cousin that we welcomed back into the family. He was liking all the players and the players was there. You saw Caleb Wilson was there, Josh? Did you see Caleb Wilson was there? And did you see Caleb Wilson was there with his dad, Josh? Josh, why would Caleb Wilson and his dad be at the press conference? You know why? You know why, Josh? Because he's staying, Josh.
Oh,
That's
boy.
why. That's why. That's why he was at the press conference, because he's staying, Josh. Oh, and you know what else? Derek Dixon staying. He's going to be like the next Jamal Murray. And then Henry Vassar, he's staying. And then Joker's going to come to practices during the summer when he's not feeding his sheep and getting drunk and watching his kid. And he's going to come and he's going to teach Henry Vassar how to be the next Joker in college basketball. It's about to be an amazing time in Chapel Hill, Josh. And I can't wait.
It's too late or early in the morning for all that energy. B-Dot's with us here. He's the most entertaining guest in sports talk. And the reason why when we bring Dot in here, we usually bring him in to play grammar school. We'll do that in a second. But I do have one more question, and it's something that we had been talking about related to Michael Malone. Is in 2026 coaching at a blue blood in college more appealing than coaching in the NBA? What is more attractive to a basketball coach, somebody, let's not put labels attached to it in any way, a basketball coach, assuming Michael Malone would have been a candidate for the Pelicans or Orlando and jobs that are going to become free in the NBA. Let's assume he could get one of those jobs and he had the option between that and North Carolina. What makes college more attractive in that case? Would you say that college is more attractive based on what Michael Malone did?
I think sometimes it depends on where you're going. Like if you're choosing between Carolina or the Kansas job is open, versus like the Grizzlies where you got to deal with Ja Morant in the strip club type foolishness. Like it's just less of a headache to come to Kansas or come to Carolina. But like Coach Michael Malone seems like the type of dude that likes to, I don't know, like mold guys into men. You dig what I'm saying? Like, and I think the college space is going to be perfect for him to do that. Like, I don't even think, and I think what else is dope about it is it wasn't something that was necessarily on his bingo card. Like, he didn't start the year like, you know what? I think I might want to get back into this college thing. I think he was just sitting there and supporting his daughter, was going to be on campus. Him and Sully are cool, so he stopped through campus. And the way the chips fell, it voted in his favor. You dig what I'm saying? Like, and I really think that the Tar Heels got to steal, bro. Like a lot of folks are saying this is a home run hit, Josh, but I feel like this is a grand slam. Like bases loaded, knocked out the park.
Trying to think of some ways they can spin off Michael Malone product with Michael Jordan, since they're an Air Jordan school, because everybody calls Michael Jordan Michael. They don't call him Mike, except when you say you want to be like Mike. So are we going to have some be like Mike Malone gear, or we got to figure this out? He's Michael.
I mean, we got to see what the deal is with this don't like Mike situation. I'm interested. I hear everybody saying that. He's clearly come out and said it somewhere that he doesn't like to be called Mike, correct?
It was after, this goes back maybe to the conversation we were just having about, all right, what's more appealing, NBA or college coaching? In the NBA, you're essentially a mid-organizational manager. You're not the guy who's running things. You're just kind of part of the puzzle, and you're more expendable than you are in college. So he probably has been Michael Malone the entire time, but we never really heard or valued what he went by until he won a championship 3 years ago. So it was after he won the title that people were like, wait, what's your name? Oh, Michael? Okay, we might actually start calling you that now. We care who you are. We know who you are because you won a championship. Versus in college, everybody knows who the top coaches are in college basketball, or the ones in the top programs. So it's a little bit different of a dynamic. Okay, let's get to grammar school. That's why B-Dot's here. This is an educational program that we do where B-Dot helps me along in learning terms of the urban persuasion, shall we say. I'm pretty Caucastic for those who aren't watching on YouTube or on.
They can hear it. They can hear it, Josh. They hear it.
Hear the Caucasity? That's what you're saying.
Absolutely. If you don't think those folks can hear the Caucasity in that voice, you're in error, my buddy.
So this is me trying to make progress, because whether it's the national championship game, being in the Michigan locker room, or, just covering sports in general, need to know how, some of the terminology, some of the nomenclature, if you will, from some of the top athletes in sports and in urban circles. So that's where Dot comes in to help us out. You've got 3 words or 3 terms to throw my way. 2 out of 3 is a passing grade. Let's see how we do.
Actually, today I have 3 phrases for you, Josh. Okay. One, this one is really, I can say it's urban, but it's really more Gen Z, and it's really taking the internet by storm. If you've been paying attention to the internet, you may be already ahead up on this one. What does it mean if someone says you're not the birthday?
Damn it. Linnell Willingham he just put out a social media clip last night talking about you're not the birthday.
Here we go. So educate your audience. Educate your audience. What does it mean if someone says you're not the birthday?
Well, I wasn't with Linnell last night.
Oh my gosh.
So I just saw the headline.
I saw
a headline,
And you didn't click to see, which means you didn't educate yourself. See, that's
hold one sec. The title of the clip was "What Does You the Birthday Mean?" That was the title of the clip.
And you didn't click it.
I didn't click it.
See, grammar school is much like the movie Slumdog Millionaire, right? Like you're just going through life and you're just seeing things and experiencing things, and you don't know how it all shapes later in life. But you could be a millionaire like Slumdog Millionaire. That right there was something that came across your face, Josh Graham, that was going to help you in today's episode of Grammar School. And you just bypassed it because you didn't want that. And man, I can't wait to tell Linnell. I wish it was last night already today. I wish it was last night today. I do. Oh, I can't wait to tell Linnell about this.
I want to think, gosh, man.
You're not the birthday. What does it mean?
Oh, I thought it says you the birthday. I thought that's what it was. So it's you're not the birthday.
Correct.
Okay. WD is snickering about this, so he leaves his mic on for some reason when he's not on stage, so I'm just going to go to him.
I think it means like you're not the main character. Like you're not the center of attention. And the only reason I say that is because I think you the birthday means like you are being the center of attention. So I assume when you say you're not the birthday, you're saying actually you're not the center of attention.
I'm going to go with that. That's a good guess.
I wish WD would have shut up and turned his mic off so Josh would have struggled.
He was struggling.
You haven't learned anything about this, WD.
He was
Yes,
struggling.
that's correct. Yes, that is correct. It means you're not the center of attention. You are not the main character. What does it mean, Josh?
He doesn't have all the buttons available to him. Like he's trying to find things in the tab.
He's over there doing his own sound effects. Ding, ding, ding.
Man, it's unbelievable production work we have here. Okay, what's next, B-Dot?
What does it mean, Josh, if somebody ran down on him?
Can this be used in a sports context?
No. Violence only.
Oh, violence. Okay. Because I was picturing LeBron in the 2016 finals running down Iguodala for that block shot.
He did. He ran him down. But
So
he didn't run down on him.
Run down on him. I'm going to say that means you track somebody down and harmed them in a significant way. That's what you mean by saying that.
Means you kill somebody, Josh. That's what it means. So I'll give you that. Give him that. Yep. Ding, ding, ding. Means you take somebody's life. You run down on them, Josh. That's what they did to Young Dolph. Do you know who Young Dolph is?
No.
All right. So you've already got a satisfactory grade.
Shout out to Young Dolph.
Shout out to Young Dolph. Jeez. So this is just to see if you'll get 3 for 3, Josh. Good job, man. Even though, man, like I'm so disappointed, man, that even though I'm glad that WD is here, I'm disappointed that Double D is not here and Linnell is not here because, man, they would have been so upset with that freakum you're not the birthday. All right. What does somebody mean if they say they hit them with a dome shot?
Oh, man. Is this appropriate if we were doing a day show?
Yes. Yes. It is not a sexual connotation.
Got it.
Yeah.
Hit him with a dome shot.
Yeah.
I'm just going to say that you shot him in the head.
That's exactly what it means, Josh. That's exactly what it means. Yeah. I don't know why it was so dark tonight. I don't know why it was so dark. I apologize.
Run down on him and hit him with a dome shot?
That's what happens. It happens in that sequence, Josh. That was great. All because somebody was trying to be the birthday. And you're not the birthday. So I had to run down on him and hit him with a dome shot, man.
Yeah, that's it. What else have we hit?
The Hornets. The Hornets. And the Greensboro Swarm, Josh. The Greensboro Swarm are amazing.
Stop it. There is a lot going on with the Charlotte Hornets. I will say this. The Charlotte Hornets, it's exciting. The Greensboro Swarm, they might be the best team in the minor leagues of the NBA, and that's good. It's a sign of a team that's exciting for the future. I don't know if we've ever seen a team win a G League title and a Summer League title in the same sequence, but we might be seeing that with the Charlotte Hornets, who also have the Rookie of the Year in Con Knippel, in my opinion. There's a lot to be excited about with the Hornets.
Pardon me, though, but why did you dismiss the Greensboro Swarm so swiftly?
It wasn't dismissal. I was just reframing it. I was repackaging it to talk about a plus for the Charlotte Hornets.
The Greensboro Swarm are one win away from bringing a championship to Greensboro before the Hornets brought one to Charlotte.
That's fine.
What do you mean that's fine? Why are you playing it so far to the left? Why are you being so condescending?
It's the G League championship.
That matters. These guys, somebody who started with that organization 10 years ago and gave it 7 years of blood, sweat, and tears. Right. The Greensboro Swarm is a developmental league, but is the G League is very important, Josh Graham.
It is, yeah.
What are you doing with this? You know what? Wow.
I was going to talk about, the NBA MVP and who the best team in the league is. We're talking about the G League.
Are you seeing what's happening to our boy, man? He leaves the Triad and goes national, and now he doesn't give a damn about the Greensboro Swarm. Now he's all we're talking about national now. We can't talk about the Green. It's the G League.
I'm just trying to do my job. I'm trying to do my job.
I'm gonna tell Doug Beamer about you. How about that? I'm gonna tell Doug. Yeah. I'm gonna tell Doug about you.
Okay.
Yeah. Look, my lights went off. I'm so upset.
Before you do that, do you want to tell the people what's ahead? Would you like to tease what's happening? And we appreciate you joining us as always, B-Dot, the most entertaining guest. That is a 3 for 3 in grammar school, by the way. That I didn't get any credit, much like the Swarm. I didn't get any credit for, really.
How does that feel? How did that feel? We treated you real Greensboro Swarmish, didn't we? Listen, for everybody out there, I hope you were entertained tonight, man. Thank you for listening, and we just need you to do one very important thing. Keep listening.
Alabama QB Ty Simpson be picked in the first round? The Jets, Cardinals, and Steelers have been mentioned as fits for the pocket passer. The NFL Draft starts April 23rd. Westwood One Sports.
At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will be in 3 minutes and 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute. Stations, this is your final time check. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 30 seconds.
This is Westwood One Sports Night. Here's Josh Graham.
Last call for phone calls. Ring the bell. 310-840-4910. We're asking this question. Actually, a couple of questions. Are the Kansas City Chiefs rightfully being overlooked? They are being slept on. Fifth best odds, or make it the sixth to win the Super Bowl. Fourth best odds to win the AFC. They're not even the favorites in their own division. Is that level of disrespect warranted? And who is the best player? What is the best case scenario for Kansas City with the number 9 pick in the draft when we hear those sweet chimes 2 weeks from now? The NFL draft is going to be underway and the Chiefs picking in a higher position than they've picked in over a dozen years. 2013 was the last time they had a higher pick than 9th. They had the number 1 pick in the draft, and they took Eric Fisher. So who at 9 are you circling and saying, that's a star if he plays for the Chiefs that can help them right away? 310-840-4910. Last call for those phone calls. In terms of the most likely stars in this draft, Fernando Mendoza is the obvious one. This is where Linnell and I disagree with, or we disagree on this completely. Linnell thinks that Fernando Mendoza is a token number 1 pick. He only believes he's going number 1 because he plays quarterback and that the Raiders are reaching and taking him. My position, and it's the position that a lot of the draft experts out there hold, like a Daniel Jeremiah, a Mel Kiper, what you get at PFF, what you get at Yahoo, is that he's going to be the number one pick of the draft. Yes, because he plays quarterback, but also because he is the number one prospect in this draft. This isn't a token situation. He was the best player in college football. He is the consensus number one player pretty much when you look at all the different places that have him as the number one prospect. And in terms of being a star, talking about name recognition, his story is known by all for helping Indiana, which has the largest alumni base in America, win an improbable national championship. Playing quarterback helps. There's a gulf between him and the next guy, perceived to be Ty Simpson. He's going to be paired with an offensive guru in Clint Kubiak. Tom Brady is one of the owners in Vegas, so he will be paired with him as well. He'll be in one of the great entertainment hubs in all of the world, Las Vegas. He's going to be a star. Fernando Mendoza. Notre Dame running back Jeremiah Love is another one. Destined star. Now, where he ends up is going to be important. If he goes to Arizona at 3, hypothetically, we're never going to hear from him again. Cardinals might be the worst team in the NFL. Remember when everyone said Marvin Harrison Jr. was maybe the best wide receiver prospect we had seen in years? Well, then he goes to Arizona, and we haven't heard anything from him since. That might be Jeremiah Love's life if he ends up in Arizona. Or even the Jets if they're dumb enough to go running back at 2 after bringing Breece Hall in. Don't think that's going to happen. Or if it's Cleveland at 6. Don't quite see that being a great fit. But if he goes where he's most commonly mocked to go, Tennessee at 4 or the Giants at 5, those would be situations where he becomes a star right away. In both instances, you get to be paired with a promising second-year quarterback. Cam Ward, number 1 pick in the draft last year from Tennessee. Jackson Dart with the Giants. You get to go to a revamped coaching staff. The Giants, they have John Harbaugh. The Giants brought in a lot of help on the offensive side of the ball. Heck, as position coaches, you've got Brian Callahan, who was a head coach last year with the Bengals, and you got Greg Roman. Just a lot of really smart coaches on the offensive side in New York. And then in Tennessee, Robert Saleh was hired, but they also hired Brian Daboll too, which might be the most underrated move a team made this entire offseason. Running backs, they generally pop earlier in their careers than most other positions. So Love could be an impact guy right away. And then, since we brought up the Kansas City Chiefs at the top of this is kind of cheating, but whoever the Chiefs take at 9 is going to be a star because of the exposure, the importance of games that you play. Will Dalton, out of the teams that are picking in the top 10, is there anybody you feel better about being a playoff team than you do Kansas City at 9? This is the part where you make the case for the Bengals at 10.
No. I like the Chiefs a lot better than the Bengals. I'm sure that was sarcasm.
Okay. It's a little bit, or it was a lot of bit of sarcasm. It was. So you get to play on a playoff team, and you're looking at premium position players, edge rusher, receiver. If you go one of those places, they're going to be immediately thrust into the limelight. Running back, I mean, if Jeremiah Love fell to Kansas City, holy bleep, don't think they'd take him because they already, brought in Kenneth Walker in free agency. But edge rusher, wide receiver, they already are interviewing in top 30 visits Mekhi Lemon from USC and Carnell Tate from Ohio State, so they seem to have interest at that position. Those are the most likely stars in this draft. And if they got Reuben Bain from Miami or David Bailey from Texas Tech, whoa, look out. That would be something to admire, and it would be big for Kansas City. And the rest of the league would be like, hand on face, how did we F this up and allow Kansas City to draft that player, to allow that player to be available? The Masters is going on. Round 2 of the tournament is just a few hours away. The highlight of the day was the ceremonial first tee. I love this. How many places in entertainment especially do we allow older people to age gracefully and with dignity? We don't do that well in entertainment. Usually what happens is, you're old, and we kick them to the curb. This is one of the things, honestly, there's a lot to criticize about the four-letter sports company, ESPN. But one thing they got right is how to take care of Lee Corso and let him go out on top the way he deserved. Not just pushing him out. The way they've taken care of Dick Vitale and all the stuff that he's been dealing with. Right? We need to take care of our elders better and treat them with respect and with honor and with dignity. And I don't know. I look forward to it every year. I was up early this morning, about to take my son to daycare, and I fired it up on my phone, seeing Fred Ridley get the Masters started, the chairman of the Masters, by introducing the Golden Bear, Jack Nicklaus, and Gary Player, and Tom Watson to tee it up on the first tee box. These guys, they're not going to be here forever. They're not promised even next year. Gary Player's 90. Hello, friends. Do you hear that? No, not the jangly guitar, but the sounds of the azaleas. Do you hear the azaleas? They be bloomin'. And the golfers, they be booming. Shots off the tee. The Masters.
Just once, I'd love to hear Jim Nantz on the call say they be booming and they be blooming. Just one time.
One time, I'd just like him to say pimentos and cheese.
Yeah,
that's what I want.
Too.
It'd be great. Make it happen. But they're not going to be around forever. Jack Nicklaus, Gary Player, Tom Watson. So seeing them there and jovial and excited to be there and recognize their presence also reminded us of who wasn't at Augusta this week. No Tiger Woods. No Phil Mickelson. For the first time since 1994. That's crazy. 32 years we've had at least one of those two players competing. And even crazier, Phil Mickelson and Tiger Woods represents 25%, a quarter of the Green Jackets won during that span of time. 5 for Tiger, 3 for Phil Mickelson. And we even had Gary Player. We have this sound, don't we? Gary Player was offering some thoughts on Tiger's personal situation, why he's not there. Tiger in rehab after a second DUI arrest in less than a decade. Here was the 90-year-old Gary Player.
Do I blame him for taking medicine? Hell no. He has sleep deprivation. Do I blame him for taking something to help him sleep? No. But I don't think he should drive a car. When you're taking that medicine, it's dangerous when you're driving a car. Same as it's dangerous when you look at your cell phone in the car. There's 6,000 accidents a day in America in motor cars. So I just think all he's got to do is just not drive a car and get a chauffeur. I mean, my reflexes, I think, are as good as when I was 20. But I don't drive anymore. I get a chauffeur.
Seems like easy enough advice from one of the greatest of all time. Will Dalton, you seem to agree with my sentiment that the NBA has not viewed college basketball as a partner the way that the NFL does college football. Now, don't want to give the NFL too much credit because there is a thing called the Sports Broadcasting Act of 1961 that prevents the league from playing on Saturday from September through Army-Navy in December. And then the NFL immediately starts playing games on Saturday right after they're allowed to. This isn't me saying the NFL, if that act didn't exist, wouldn't start playing games on Saturday and competing directly with college football. But it does seem that the NFL recognizes that there is value in having a popular, thriving minor league that develops stars entering their league, and there's value in that, especially when you don't have to pay for it. Why is it? Here's a good question, actually. A good question and a way to frame it. Why is it it's a mixed bag, maybe 50-50? If I go up to someone who says they're a college basketball fan and ask if they like the NBA, whether or not I get the answer yes or no, and vice versa. If you talk to an NBA fan and ask if they like college basketball, it's a mixed answer. When we play that game, like the Venn diagram for college football in the NFL, hey, do you like college football? Hey, do you like the NFL? It's a very wide middle of people who like them both. Why isn't that middle as wide for college basketball and the NBA?
I don't know the exact answer, but I think a lot of it has to do with what we're talking about, that it hasn't been taken in the way it should be by Adam Silver and the NBA. Like, think about all the great players that have come from college basketball, whether it's Cameron Boozer this year and all the other freshmen, Cooper last year, Zion. Can you name any elite players from G League Ignite that, like, went on to be stars?
Well, the Thompsons.
I can't.
I mean, the Thompson twins are good, but the point is, and this is the part where I mean it with respect. Again, we were talking about the G League with B-Dot just a little while ago. With respect, I don't care how good your team is, how many players are on that team, how many stars, future NBA stars are on it. You're not going to get people to watch the Rio Grande Vipers on TV. It's not going to be a draw. Like, college basketball is in a position to help the NBA. See, Adam Silver, when we say he undercut the sport, he literally created the G League Ignite path to try to pull top high school prospects from college basketball into this path underneath their umbrella. That is undercutting. That is sabotaging college basketball. And that's the opposite of what he should be doing, especially when the NBA is in a place where their ratings are tanking and they're trying to fix actual tanking with rule changes. College basketball's product is as good as it's been when you have really strong freshman classes, players sticking around longer because they're getting paid, international players coming in because they can make more in college basketball than they can in Euro professional leagues. The product is as good as it's been in a long time, and it shows in the ratings. It just posted the national championship game, the most watched national title game in 7 years. An average viewership of 18.3 million, exceeding any NBA game that's been played this decade. And again, to your point, there are massive college brands like Duke and Kentucky and Carolina that create massive stars when they enter the league. Guys who are already stars that you have some relationship to, like Cooper Flagg, like Con Knipple, AJ Debonsa this year, this loaded freshman class. So if the NBA could take some steps in trying to build up college basketball, that would be great. How about just start with the easiest of steps? Maybe don't schedule NBA games the night of the national championship. Are you kidding me, Adam Silver? 5 NBA games on Monday night. 5. Really? That's what we're going to do? And honestly, the NBA should figure out a way to partner with college basketball festivities. It'd be perfect if you had your All-Star festivities this weekend, Final Four weekend, and you had the All-Star game at the same site as the Final Four for college hoops, just as a way to support it. Or if you're not going to do that, how about an NBA game played in the football stadium on Thursday before all the festivities start later in that week? Again, just something like that shows, hey, we care about you, college basketball. Maybe fix the draft and have it so it starts after the new league year, so trades can be made official that night and players don't have to wear the wrong hat and we don't have to be confused watching your stupid, horrifically bad draft product. Maybe change the 1-year rule to the 2-year rule out of high school. Could you imagine how cool it would be if all these freshmen, a lot of people think it's a college rule. Hey, make it so these guys can stay 2 years. No, it's an NBA rule. It'd be great if all these freshmen had to come back for another year. Not that the NBA would ever do that. But just showing some sign of partnership would go a long way for the NBA. 310-840-4910. We said last call for phone calls. Let's go to Bruce, who's in L.A. Bruce, what do you think about the state of college basketball versus the state of the NBA?
Hey, how you doing, Josh? Well, the reason why the NBA doesn't go to change the 1-year rule to the 2-year rule specifically for college basketball is related to the 2021 Supreme Court decision, which allowed NIL. 9-0 Supreme Court. You rarely get 9-0 on anything in the Supreme Court. And then the 2024
the NCAA,
rule.
You're right. To your point, to hold you up real quick, the NCAA regularly gets dunked on by the Supreme Court and in court. That's why they try everything in their power to avoid lawsuits, because they lose almost every time.
And then in 2024, the NCAA voluntarily changed the rules on the transfer portal, allowing players. And the reason they did that is because they knew that a lawsuit was coming that would have allowed that anyway. So fast forward to what we're talking about tonight regarding the 2-year rule. Legal pressure around the United States is that it would be a violation of antitrust rules to keep 18, 19, and sometimes 20-year-olds in university that extra year, and they would lose that lawsuit. So the NBA goes with the 1-year rule. They would like to go to a 2 or a 3-year rule.
Hold one second. The NCAA would not be the one in court there, though. That would be the NBA in that instance. And the NBA can easily say, well, it's our league. We set the parameters of when you join. There are other leagues you can play in if you don't want to play in ours and you don't want to play in college basketball. So I don't think they would lose that case in court.
Under U.S. antitrust law, the Sherman Act, I believe the 1910s somewhere, when a business is considered a monopoly, and the NBA as a major league is considered a monopoly, you cannot restrict 18, 19, and 20-year-olds from.
Then why hasn't the NFL been sued? Why hasn't the NFL been sued?
Excellent question, Josh. The reason for that is because the legal community and the NFL and the NCAA broadly believe, it hasn't been tested in court, that football is different than basketball, and because of the brutal violence of football, you don't want 18, 19, or 20-year-olds. So everyone sort of agrees for now 3 years is fair. You don't want 18-year-olds playing against 25-year-olds. But if that was tested, the result could be different as well. But I think that will just hold on indefinitely at 3 years due to just the difference. NBA is a league you can play in at
what about baseball?
18 or 9. Well, baseball has nothing to do with the NCAA. Baseball has
baseball does have everything to do with the NCAA. There's a 3-year. If you go to play college baseball, you have to be in there for 3 years. Like, again, there are other places where this stands. It's if the NBA wanted it, it could happen. And I'm saying
minor
the
league,
NCAA would not be the one.
I'm not an expert. I don't know that much about the baseball angle. I know a lot about the football and basketball, but I believe the baseball angle is because it doesn't really involve Major League Baseball. It involves the minor leagues, and minor leagues are not considered a monopoly. The NFL is considered a monopoly. The NBA is considered a monopoly, and Major League Baseball would be considered a monopoly. But most players don't go directly into Major League Baseball. They spend 2, 3, 4 years in the minors, and the minors are not considered a monopoly.
Let's close with this real quick because I only have about a minute here. Are you saying that college basketball, what sport's in a better place right now, college basketball or the NBA?
Well, that's a different subject. I don't know what's in a better place. Well, definitely college basketball. The NBA is just in a bad way, but I believe for other reasons. So
do you think? Okay, glad you answered that way. So let me ask a follow-up. Do you think that college basketball, that the NBA could benefit by being more supportive of college basketball?
Definitely, no question. What you said earlier, no question. I think it's wrong that they had those games scheduled on championship night. And here's just a little quick anecdote, Josh, about why I believe the NBA does schedule those games. Is because you've been to professional sports games. I've been to plenty of professional sports games in major cities, particularly like Los Angeles or New York. Most people there, Josh, aren't. That you were saying, why would anyone go to a game on national championship night? The reason why is because a huge percentage of people there aren't even there to watch sports. It's the town square. It's the public square. You and I are there to watch sports. Many people are there just to be seen and be seen. They don't care that the Arizona Michigan game was on at home because they don't care about sports. They're there because it's the place to be.
Bruce, you are a world-class phone caller. I appreciate you calling in. I hope you'll call us again.
Thank you, Josh. Bye.
There you go. There goes Bruce in Los Angeles. I mean that sincerely. WD, I think it's a good debate. I do. I'm
is.
down for a debate, regardless of what time in morning or at night it is. Because I truthfully believe that if the NBA wanted to have the 2-year rule, they could have it because of what we have in the other sports. And I don't think the NBA would lose that case in court. I don't. College basketball, again, it's not a college rule. And that's why it's important to note. Because, again, if college had that rule, he's right to say they get dunked on in court because that's what happens with the NCAA all the time. Not the same case with the NBA. Will Dalton, what do we have to close out today's program and put it to bed?
It's one of the many reasons that I don't really go to Walmart.
Next.
As your official home of the NFL, we'll take you inside the NFL Draft with exclusive interviews and insight of the draft picks and the team selecting them. Get ready. We're 2 weeks away. Westwood One Sports.
At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will be in 3 minutes and 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute. Stations, this is your final time check. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 30 seconds.
This is Westwood One Sports Night. Here's Josh Graham.
I hope I'm not talking out of school, Will, when I share a text that Drake Toll sent to a group chat of ours prior to us going on air tonight. He's on the way. He just sent me a Spotify link with a song that is titled "It's Okay If You Poop / Pee Your Pants. Sometimes Don't Feel Bad." And the song is about somebody peeing / pooping his pants and saying that this is a normal, okay behavior that you shouldn't feel bad about. Drake Toll.
I see. I don't know how I feel about that. I don't know that that is a normal behavior.
There is the scene in Billy Madison when he sees like his younger friend up against the wall. And he's like, "Why are you hunched up against the wall?" And he's like, "I peed my pants." And he's trying to make him feel more comfortable and not embarrassed around his fellow young brethren, kids. So then he puts a bunch of water on his crotch area and he says, "Look at me, I peed my pants." All the cool kids pee their pants. And then when they see the other kid who actually peed their pants, like, "Hey, Tommy peed his pants too." And he gives him the high five. Right on. That's what it made me think of. But that's the best tease I have. 6 to 9 in the morning Eastern time. Drake Toll taking you in the mornings. It's okay if you poop / pee your pants. Sometimes don't feel bad. Now, let's put this show to bed.
So I don't think what you just said was normal behavior, and I don't think what just happened in this story is normal behavior. So at a Walmart in North Florida, this dude was seen running around naked in the parking lot. And he's like chasing the employees when they would come outside the store. And then he would just run off into the woods. And eventually the police came out there and they had to go chase him down. But there's a lot of unnormal behavior happening in this segment. Or at least we're describing it, that is.
Yeah, you don't see that happen at Target or at Costco.
You
But
don't.
might see it
That's why I go there.
at a Wally World. You might. Do we have any more
might.
physical descriptions of this gentleman?
They say he was nonverbal and incoherent.
Naturally.
Whatever that
What state did this happen
means.
in?
It's in Florida. Jacksonville.
Not a shock. Not a shock.
That's what goes on over there.
I just like to
happens
imagine
that way.
somebody early in the morning say, "You know what I want to turn on this morning? I want to turn on some sports. That's what I want to turn on. I want to hear some sports. They're going to talk about the Masters. I'm going to fire it up." And then the segment they get is Sometimes it's okay if you pee your pants. Sometimes don't feel bad. And naked Florida man in Jacksonville running around and being accosted. That's what we call a great lead in to our guy, Drake. Have a great evening. Free for All Friday is tonight, tomorrow. This has been Westwood One Sports Night.
This is Westwood One Sports.